Hello, everybody. It looks like we sorted it out. Wow. So sorry. I'm deeply sorry about this whole thing, but it's all sorted out now to the best of what we can see. So very soon, I'll be handing over to the moderator of the keynote speech. We'll be going straight into that session right away because we've taken a lot of your time. So again, I'm so sorry to all of you for keeping you. Sometimes technology works excellently. Some other times it happens like this. We've put a lot of thought into planning this event, and I was talking with one of the gentlemen that were helping us to promote the event the other day. He asked me, do you call it an event? I said, no, it's beyond an event. It's a project, it's a move, it's a mission. And as it happens today, my excellent delivery didn't come out the way we expected. But without taking much of your time, I will be handing over to our moderator for the keynote session. Nyasha Duri, are you with us?
I am indeed. One moment.
I think you're muted. Oh, great, excellent. We can see your face now.
I had to improve the optics a little bit. You know how it can be noisy by the roadside. Yes, thank you so much, Tomkis. And yes, I'm so excited to be here with everyone. How are we all? And so I believe that to begin with, we will hear from, I guess, a little mini keynote from each of our wonderful panel members today. And I suppose maybe it would make sense. I don't know if Lord Hastings, you would like to go first, given your time situation.
Thank you, and nice to see all of you, those that I can see. And I always wonder why people hide behind a black screen. If you're really there, why don't you put your screen on, unless you're ashamed of your face, but let's have a look at it. If it is a disaster, we can help you with some makeup. Otherwise, don't be ashamed of what you look like. Too bad. It's nice to get a vision of who's actually on the call. So I know this is the beginning of Student Entrepreneurship Week, and I wanted to say just a few quick remarks, which you can obviously take away. I have a clashing call in 20 minutes, so I will disappear from the scene. But here's the two things I wanted to put into your mind. The first one being, I realize that many who are on this call are calling from Ghana, and I see that that is evident both from the names and also from the connections. And many of you will know that there is a great organization called Enactus, which operates in Ghana, and I'm proud to be global champion of Enactus and have seen the Enactus work in Ghana historically and in Nigeria, not too far next door, and across in Kenya and in South Africa and in Tanzania and in Morocco. And I've seen the Enactus work in Tunisia, and I've seen it in India, and I've seen it in Argentina, and I've seen it in the US, and I've seen it in the UK, I've seen it in Italy, I've seen it in Ireland, I've seen it all over the world. So if you're a student and you're thinking, how do I genuinely develop effective entrepreneurial mindset action that is both profitable, deliverable, credible, and appropriate and useful, connect with Enactus. Don't reinvent the wheel. It exists. Join the Enactus network connected to a university or a college. Get on with it. It's there. Second thing I wanted to give you was being, I imagine, one of the oldest ones on this Zoom. I can note that there are not that many with equally colored silver hair to myself, although some, I'm sure, have got good dye on, which I don't bother. I just take it as it is. That we're very inclined when we think about difficult times like this, where a lot of people are disconnected because of coronavirus pressure one way or another, or simply because economy is a bit faltering, and we're disconnected and maybe we're a little bit insecure about the way the world looks. I want to tell you a story, and this is going to encourage you. Now, this is a long time ago, April 1815. there was one of the worst ever volcanoes known to man on Mount Tambora, which was in and is in Indonesia. Well, it was one of the largest ever recorded, and a vast plume of dust and smoke and ash spread from Indonesia northwards across the world. It blocked out the sun in large parts of the then identified industrial world and caused huge changes in global temperatures. And in China, the cold weather killed off the trees, the crops, and water buffalo. And in North America, there was a dry fog which reddened the sun, and there was a summer snowfall in New York, where it never, of course, snowfalls in New York in summer. Riots and looting broke out across the world, all over Europe, and harvests failed. And there was a very difficult problem of soaring food prices, tens of thousands of people dying from famine and disease, and horses, which were the only means of transport, were starved or had to be slaughtered and used as food, because the high price of oats or feeding horses inhibited people from spending on them. Then the question arose, how do we get around? Well, it was that last predicament that led a German called Karl von Drais to devise what he called a personal transport machine to replace the horse, a two-wheeled wooden structure in which you sat on the top frame, the wheels were attached by wood, and you simply pushed it along with your legs on either side of the frame. This was the first ever bicycle. And it's a fascinating thought that when you look across the world now and you see people cycling, biking, moving on single-wheeled, two-wheeled, multi-wheeled, that way back then, this was an innovation that came out of a crisis. But the entrepreneur is the person who spots the serendipitous moment. That's a long word, I know, and not many of you may use it very frequently, and I certainly don't. But it is a good word to look up, the serendipitous moment, which says, out of the set of circumstances presented before me, what is the gap for innovation that sits here? How can I identify and therefore innovate and find the resourcing necessary to move from basics into possibilities, into prospects, and then into profit? How do I make those things happen? Now, there are two further keys that are important to take the entrepreneur from the innovation into the profitable base for development. Key number one, get ready for the long haul. Very few innovations and entrepreneurial commitments really flourish in year one or year two, maybe beginning to show some prospect in year three. They don't get shining until year five. Get ready for the long haul. Track the experience of well-known international entrepreneurs. The pattern is the same. What's it about? It is risky to introduce new products into a market. But of course, that is the basis on which genuine economic growth is built. Number two, therefore, because of the long delay and the process of continuation, you better have the resources saved to sustain you without causing you to flounder after year one or two. So don't begin until you've worked and saved so you can secure your basic living. Then begin with pushing the idea from basics to implementation. Then you don't become a strain on others, but you take the pattern of growth that is standard for entrepreneurial investment. So I leave you with those thoughts in my few minutes. I've been exactly 5, and I shall listen to the rest for the next 20 minutes. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lord Hastings. I really love that. And I think it ties in with a lot of what you said in the past. I first heard from you in 2017 at a Success Talks event, and you spoke about the need when it comes to entrepreneurship. If you cannot find the circumstances that you're looking for, then you need to make them for yourselves. I think that really resonates. And yes, I mean, if you have to leave early, I don't know if we had time to, if anyone wanted to quickly ask Lord Hastings a question from our audience. We'll strike while the iron is hot. Anyone at all? You can pop something over within the chat if you would like to. But in the meantime, yes, for the rest of our wonderful panel. So we have Valerie, we have Violet. Is it Violet or Violette?
Violette.
Violette, yes. Sorry about that. And yes, and I think we have Mark and we have Patrick and Claude. I also, yes, wonderful. So yes, we have everybody here. We have the full house. But yes, if any of you would like to go ahead and to give us your keynote. And again, people feel free to use the chat or over from YouTube, find a way, send Tom Chris a message on WhatsApp if there's a really burning question that you have to ask. It's really so important that we take this opportunity to engage live while we can. So yes, in the meantime, if one of our panel members would like to give their introduction.
Okay. Hi, my name is Violette, and I'm the Regional Advisor and Country Director for DOT. Thank you very much for the invitation. I have a small presentation, and I promise to be only 5 minutes. If you'd allow me, I'll share my screen. I guess you have to...
I don't know if Tom Chris, if you're there to change the settings.
Yeah,
there should be a little button on share screen, and then we can press that and it will allow anyone to be able to present their screen.
Yeah, I think they have to provide the permission first.
Yes, I will send him a quick message in case he is.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, in the meantime, would you like to perhaps just continue?
Let me let my colleagues proceed. I prefer to present with a presentation. Maybe the other panelists can jump in as we wait for.
I had a presentation too, but I'd be happy to just jump in. So my name is Valerie Labby. I am a social entrepreneur, and I guess I just wanted to share a little bit of experience about my personal experience selling toilets in Northern Ghana. I used to be a banker. I used to work in banking for Ernst & Young. I went into telco, and then I realized that actually there was an opportunity for me to leverage my understanding of business to really drive social missions. And so the first thing that really that I would like to share is, as a social entrepreneur, for me, what has always been important has been passion. So understanding where there's an opportunity to apply my passions. And for me, it was sanitation, when I discovered that 40% of the world's population didn't have access to a toilet. And in Ghana specifically, we actually ranked second on the continent for practicing open defecation, which for me was really surprising. We are kind of leading in a lot of parameters from a development perspective. And so the fact that most households, 85% of households, do not have a toilet really stood out to me as something that we could solve in our lifetime. So I really went on to understand what was the need, what was the gap at a community level. And so I think this is a really good starting point, is when you've identified something you're passionate about, is to get a bit more of understanding of how you could address that issue. So I really went out to the communities. We looked at Northern Ghana, which had the worst rate of sanitation, and started to understand why is it people were building houses, 12-bedroom houses, without a bathroom. And a few things came up about market opportunities. So the first thing was there's a fragmented supply chain. People didn't know where to go to buy a toilet. They said that Ghanaians shop at Melcom. Melcom doesn't sell toilets, so where would I even go if I had the money? The next thing was that the designs of the product wasn't really designed to context. So we could see that there were toilets out there, but there weren't toilets that I would say you and I would even be willing to use. And then finally, really looking at the demographic that we were focusing on for social entrepreneurship. Most social enterprises have an opportunity to support last mile kind of underserved communities. So understanding the financing around being able to make products and services affordable became really important for us. So I have a kind of personal mission around democratizing toilets and commercializing waste. So the social enterprise I founded was called Sama Sama, and we had a mission to try and reach at least 300,000 Ghanaians with improved quality sanitation. And so how did we go about doing that? like I said, there were many market opportunities, and one started with designing a product that made sense to our demographic. And in Northern Ghana, water is limited. So we designed a product that was a pour flush toilet, but used just 2 liters of water. And the traditional toilet uses 6. So that was an innovation to start with. We had to think about how did we actually get our product to market. So we established a door-to-door sales team, also creating jobs for youth to go door-to-door to talk about households, to tell them this is how you buy a toilet. We bridged the gap from financing, financial inclusion by actually offering payment plans. We leveraged crowdfunding so we could raise funds online to bridge that gap between needing to pay a supplier today and households having to have 12, 18, 24 months to pay for the product. And then we set about understanding supply chain. So we realized the best people to actually produce our design were local businesses. So we created an aggregated network of local concrete producers or building entrepreneurs, trained them on how to build our toilet, and then connected them using Salesforce. When we found an order, we connected them to a local business to actually build that toilet. And now we have been, I would say our first 3 months, we sold just 3 toilets. It was the best 3 months, even though it took a while to get going. And now we have around 60,000 people using our toilets across 9 regions in Ghana. We have moved. I think one of the benefits about social entrepreneurship is you start to understand opportunities in the market and the needs of consumers that haven't really been seen. And this gives us an opportunity to also continue to iterate, innovate, and move further down the value chain. So we have just moved into waste collection and waste treatment, developing our own pit emptying trucks, and we've established partnerships, which is really important to try and scale social enterprises, establish partnerships with engineering companies like Arup, and then also local government to look at how we can convert the waste that we collect into something meaningful. So for me, that was just my kind of story, and I wanted to use that as an opportunity to kind of inspire others to start with, what are you passionate about? What is a social problem that you can change in your lifetime? How can you find a market opportunity? How can you actually deliver a product that people want? And then just go about setting the paces. And I think just to leverage off what Lord Hastings said, it does take time, it does take dedication. But I would probably say the best time to start is now. I would say don't wait. If I had been able to start before I had financial responsibilities like children, that probably would have been the best time to just start finding your passion at least, and understanding how you could tailor your talents towards delivering social value, and also creating sustainable ventures while being able to maintain a standard of living for yourself. So thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. That was fantastic, as always. And I think what's so inspiring with, clean toilets and Sama and how everything evolved is just that really important innovation, but that focus on finding a problem and then thinking how to solve it. Because I've also been looking into issues in terms of open defecation and how you can really come along and transform that. And I think the way that you've set those goals and then gone on to achieve them in terms of the target for 300,000, I think is just absolutely astounding. And I think what I really loved is when you've spoken in other spaces, for example, through Yali and other areas, you talked about, like the world needs to get behind us. And the world needs to kind of, get behind like these innovations and what people are doing. Because I think especially for African social entrepreneurs, it can be that challenge in terms of like the specific things and what stops people from being able to proceed and to move forward with their ideas. So I think it's that tricky balance, because on one hand, there are obviously things that get in the way, but then there's also that, there's never a better time than now. And we're probably never going to feel ready to just go ahead and to keep going with these ideas, but hopefully we'll create those circumstances for ourselves. Yes, I wondered if there was someone else that we could hear from. So yes, Violette, we are working on the screen sharing issue. So maybe Mark.
This is Claude, maybe? I'd love to jump in if you don't mind. Is that okay?
Yes, fantastic. Yes, so we have Claude from Africa.
Well, thank you. Claude Granitsky, True Africa. I'm from Togo. And I just wanted to, speak a little bit dovetailing on what I just heard now about the time is now and the fact that the time is always now. And this is really more directed at our students and the student entrepreneurs, student social entrepreneurs. And I want to maybe speak about my own story, having started as a student, as a 23-year-old, creating a magazine called Trace Magazine, really around the idea that we should have a better portrayal of Black people from Africa and from around the world. And just starting with that passion, that youth passion as a student, and just not really worrying too much about success or failure, but just getting it done, realizing that if I didn't do it, then maybe somebody else who might. And so that led to a very successful first venture. Actually, second venture, because the first one actually failed after a year, and we kind of pivoted to a more successful business model. And then so on the back of just having created that magazine Trace when I was 23, launching a few years later, television network called Trace TV, which is now the fastest growing television network in Africa. And the reason I mentioned doing these things when you're young is that arrogance of youth, that can-do spirit of youth, where the stakes are not so high. It's you don't necessarily have children, as mentioned before. You don't have a mortgage. You can take risks that perhaps an older adult might not. So as a young adult, there's so much that you can do with that spirit of being a student, of having experimented with fresh ideas in theory, but then bringing them to fruition through actual ventures. And so the fact that I was at age 30 was able to raise $15 million from Goldman Sachs to grow my company is something that came from that, the fact that I was amongst my friends, the only one who actually dared to do it with that whole spirit of just the time is now. And just now, speaking just a little bit about True Africa, it's also about realizing that when you spot a gap in the market, you have to act immediately. And I just started getting really upset about 5-6 years ago when I wasn't seeing very many Africans really telling the African story. I just felt that most of the media coverage on African innovation, African entrepreneurship, African society was coming from Western media companies, BBC, CNN, Le Monde. And I just didn't really see anyone championing young African voices in the way that they should be championed, with true authenticity, with a perspective of a native son or a native daughter. And that's why I created a True Africa 5 years ago. But the one kind of learning from my own experience as an entrepreneur, as a Togolese entrepreneur, is that it's always been so difficult for me to attract funding from African investors. I mentioned earlier that the investor for my former venture, Trace, was Goldman Sachs in New York. And the only investor that I was able to, the only funder that I was able to attract for my latest venture, True Africa, the media company that is about championing young African voices, has been Google. And I've tried to convince African investors, hat in hand, presenting to them, and they seem so reluctant to fund these types of creative industry companies that I'm interested in. And I believe that the next generation of student entrepreneurs has to find a way to tell a story that will be convincing to these risk-averse African investors whose future and whose funding the future of the continent actually depends on. So that's just my short intro. So I wanted to share a very personal perspective on doing things now and not waiting, and also having people in your corner. And I wish I had more Africans in my corner when I was starting out. And I'm really happy to see that things are actually changing now. There's actually more solidarity in a lot of these equity movements that we're seeing. So that was just my little conversation starter.
Thank you so much, Claude.
Thank you so much, Claude. Yes, please, Mohammed. I'd love to hear from you.
Okay, I'm Mohammed, and the name is right there. I would like to share my screen to show this I have scripted from the World Economic Forum that speaks about social entrepreneurship, and then Claude and Valerie have said something about it. So I think they'll have a deeper insight to clear some points, because the forum says that social entrepreneurs can really change the world, but there are some 6 factors that are drawing us back. So let's see. I think it's disabled to share the screen from attendees.
Thank you so much, Mohammed. So yes, we are working on that with Tom Chris.
Okay,
yes,
no problem. But I think I should just read it out because I have a side computer. So it says that the first one, the structure of the sector does not promote innovation. And then when you have to look at the summary of it, it says that most of the social entrepreneurs today, they are afraid of experimentation. They don't want to experiment. And then honestly, if you have to go out there, people want to, build up on whatever is already there. They want to pick someone's idea and try to develop. They don't want to use their own ideations and then develop them to be something that will solve problems in their communities. right? So that's one point. I wish I really could share this, but another point that Claude spoke about in aspect to the investment.
There, I would love if you were able to turn this, and I think you're raising some really great points. If you were able to turn this perhaps into a question that we can then have for our panel later on. I didn't know if you had a question for Claude at this stage. So just so that, because obviously quite limited time. Just so that
I have a question for Claude, because fantastic. He spoke he spoke about investment, the part of investment in Africa. And this point I have read here is like, sometimes you have developed something and you present it to an investor, and the investor will be like, oh, this, you have really built something great, but we don't want, we would have preferred it being this way and that way. So what happens to the entrepreneur? The young entrepreneur end up editing his idea to meet the expectation of the investor. The idea is being drifted from the original thing that the entrepreneur has to do. So in this type of cases, what do we have to do? Do we have to maintain our own ideation and move according to this? Or we have to adjust ourselves to meet the expectation of the investor? So this is a short question.
Yeah, I want to answer that really quickly, and I'm pretty sure other people will answer that as well. There's a big difference between being an investor and being an entrepreneur. And I find that the entrepreneurs who change their ideas to please investors are the ones who end up failing, because it shows that they didn't really have any true conviction. And it's always interesting to hear feedback, but in this instance, the feedback is not always productive when it comes from investors.
Sorry, if everyone could please stay on mute when you're not speaking. Claude, if you wanted to continue, sorry about that.
I just wanted to mention that the entrepreneurs who fit their model to please investors end up failing. And they fail because they don't have any true conviction and they don't really have a sense of purpose. And I think investors can see through people who are just trying to secure funding without having any real conviction in the validity of their business model or of their idea.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So as we can see, we have a lovely presentation from Violette. And just to say, yes, thank you so much, Claude. I'm so glad that you managed to bring in storytelling. I myself am Zimbabwean, so I think, yeah, a lot of what you said really resonates, and really taking charge of that narrative and the importance of that in terms of being able to rally people behind you and get support, as Valerie was saying. And I would also love to hear after this from, if not Mark, then Patrick as well, because I think, with True Africa and the great initiatives that you have around social enterprise within education, it'd be great to hear what's happening as well with Ashes University. And I know that Ashoka has amazing programs for social entrepreneurs. So Violette, on to you. You're on mute. Thank you. Yes, okay, all good.
Yeah. So again, thank you very much. And thanks to Claude and Valerie. All that they presented very much resonates with what I'm going to present. DOT, Digital Opportunity Trust. We're a movement of young social innovators who are creating numerous opportunities and transforming their communities as leaders, innovators, and social entrepreneurs. In Rwanda, we say that youth don't lament, they find solutions. And what we do at DOT, we have what we call a community incubation, 1 year period where we invest the youth back to their communities. And through blended peer-to-peer experiential learning, the youth get to work very closely with their community, and they get to learn the needs and the community challenges that their communities face. Depending on their passion, we support them through human-centered design to iterate, to prototype, and then with linkages from the enterprise ecosystem, they're able to create effective, sustainable, and innovative solutions to the challenges that they come across every day. We've heard from Claude and Valerie. We know that in Africa, our largest resource, our gold mine, it's the youth. Again, the youth, they're passionate, they're tech savvy, they're creative, they're connected. They are creating real solutions, blending impact, innovation, and income. Youth voices must be heard. Youth voices matters. Again, what matters is youth meaningful engagement. And what for us we do at DOT, we've put together processes and structures that allow the youth voices and perspectives to be championed. Through what we call Youth Leadership Advisory Board, the youth are at the front and center in the area of program design, community research, and also organization strategy. We've heard from Valerie and Claude about what are the key enablers to support these young social entrepreneurs. What we have to understand is these young social entrepreneurs' journeys are unique, they're non-linear, and they vary in pace. So when we talk about the support, it's very important that we have flexible programming and a broad partnership ecosystem to support and meet the diverse and dynamic needs for our youth. When we talk about support, it's about tailored continuum support, be it helping our young people come up with sustainable business models, linkages at the different levels of their enterprises. We're talking about mentorship, coaching, accelerators, incubator, family support, finance, and technology. If I'm allowed to quote ITU during ITU's Doreen, she talks about digital platforms having become the hidden heroes during COVID. Technology is very important, an essential tool that can support us in scaling our impact. It's very exciting to see that the young social innovators have integrated digital technologies to innovate products and services, to market their enterprises, and very exciting to scale the reach of their solutions globally. Very important in terms of how do we support our young social innovators. At DOT, we seek to bridge gender and social barriers. Young men and women, they work alongside as peers and collaborators. If we support young women in their communities as leaders, innovators, we are creating role models and accelerating equity and inclusion. By supporting young women as well, they are able to identify and build solutions that responds to their fellow women's challenges and community as a whole. Claude talked about the voices. For our young people to be heard, we have to ensure that they have a seat reserved for them at the decision table. And when the youth come at the table, they're there representing their peers, but also their communities. I think it's very important. The other key element that everybody spoke about, the issue of finance. We continue to hear that our social innovators, they're struggling in the area of convincing the funders and the investors to back their innovations or their enterprises. And for us, we're calling for the funders to be able to consider the hybrid nature of the social enterprise model itself,
could we all please make sure that we stay on mute if we're not speaking? Thank you.
Yeah, so then finally, I was talking about the need for the funders to be able to consider the hybrid nature of the social enterprise model itself when we're talking about funding. And finally, young people have been at the forefront in terms of COVID. From DOT, we have what we call DOT Youth Street Team, whereby we're supporting young people at the forefront in terms of the different initiatives that they've come up with to support during this tough period of COVID, from mental health to mental well-being with Noor, from providing food supplies, information, health, education, name it. thank you very much. And we're very excited. We're going to be starting some new programs, and we'll be working with some organizations in Ghana. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Violette. That was so inspiring. And I love how you touched on so many important things like equity, inclusion. And that was one thing that I was seeing from Dot's really inspiring work, because of course, if we don't overcome that digital divide, then we're not going to be able to really make the most of that social capital. Because I think, yes, it's true. In some cases, the whole, youth unemployment and like the whole kind of like the youth boom that Africa is already experiencing and will be experiencing even more is seen as a challenge. But I agree with you that I think it's something incredibly positive. And I love how this all ties in with what we've said about how this is such a great time, especially, with this being the Student Entrepreneurship Week, for young people to really step up and to try things out and to explore. And even, of course, if we're being equitable, we have to understand that there are many young people who are students, who may already be parents, who may already have certain challenges, they may have caring responsibilities. So of course, we are mindful of all those things, and we just want to make sure that we'll be able to really empower them and to do as best as we can. So yes, Mark and Patrick, it is between you. I would love to hear from either of you. And again, to our wonderful audience, please make sure that you are ready with the questions. And if you're watching from YouTube or somewhere else, you can always message Tom Chris on WhatsApp.
Well, I'm a big fan of Patrick's work, so I definitely don't want to go after him. I think he went back out of the box. So I'll go ahead and take my time. And Patrick, hi again. I don't know if you remember me, but we had dinner at Mona Boyd's house in Ghana like some years ago. But anyway, my name is Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Hey. Yes, my name is Mark Carr, and I'm based in Washington, D.C. I work for an organization called Ashoka. And before I get into the work of Ashoka, I'll talk a little bit about myself and my background. I grew up here in the States. I'm American. I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. Started sort of my change-making career in the Deep South in Mississippi and Alabama with voting rights and civil rights campaigns that I did during college there. After school, started my own business, later closed that business, went and got an MBA, ended up in Ghana, worked for a private company for a few years. Now I'm with Ashoka, and there was many things that happened in between Ghana and Ashoka, but I'm with Ashoka managing global partnerships to do some capacity building, to sort of cultivate the ecosystem of systems change leaders around the world. My portfolio focuses mainly in North America, Sub-Saharan Africa, and I do a little bit of work that touches on in Europe as well. But with that being said, what Ashoka does is that we are the leading resource for social entrepreneurs in the world. And our core program is a fellowship program where we identify system change leaders, and we offer them support through funding, as well as access to our network, which is pretty extensive. And then again, we do some programs to build capacity within the ecosystem of global leaders. And so let's talk a little bit about what systems change is. So what systems change is, and what systems change leaders do, is that they address the root causes of social problems. So they create interventions that are intentionally designed to fundamentally alter the components and structures that cause systems to work in a particular way. So though that could be the educational system, it could be the financial system, it could be media, right? You know, there's a plethora of definitions of what systems are, and what social entrepreneurs that have a systems change focus, what they do is that they change those systems in a fundamental way. And so what do we mean by fundamental? Fundamental in this context means that whether or not this social entrepreneur is, whether they continue to do their work or not, the system has already changed, right? It's already producing new outcomes. And there's, not that there may not need to be other parts of the system that need to change, but this focus on systems change has forever changed the system, and it's working in a different way no matter what, right? And for us, we see that as key to really changing, creating deep change around social issues. And so what I'm going to talk about very briefly is just what we look for, those characteristics that we find that are pretty universal in describing the social entrepreneurs that we support. And these characteristics are definitely characteristics that you can build within yourself as a leader, which is basically the work that we do. We help to build, for people to understand what these characteristics are and to build these characteristics within their leadership. And so first, what I want to talk about, and what's really key for systems change leaders, is this passion and focus on a game-changing idea, right? Every social entrepreneur that has the systems change focus, they always come to us with this game-changing idea that they've usually worked on from a very young age, right? And is usually connected to something that they're deeply passionate about, a problem area that they deeply care about. And so, if you have an idea to create change, I strongly encourage you to focus, to not get distracted. We talked a little bit earlier about funders wanting you to maybe, change your models to meet, if you're a social entrepreneur, then, that funder is probably not a good funder for you. They're probably not aligned with who you are and the work that you do. So we find it is really important that whatever idea the social entrepreneur has, that is something that they're really committed to, right? This new idea or this game-changing idea is something that we think is a really important characteristic in social entrepreneurship. Next, what we find important is creativity. The ability to not only have the new idea, but in a creative way to create models and ways of, creating change that are really creative, right? That are really game-changing. So creativity, and also being creative in pushing and developing their idea, not sort of being met with obstacles and giving up, but finding creative ways to overcome those obstacles. That's another, this element of creativity and persistence is another element that we find very important in systems change leaders. Next, and sort of similarly related, is a bent for entrepreneurship. We find that systems change leaders usually have an entrepreneurial sort of like, they have an entrepreneurial way of seeing the world, meaning that they see a problem, they're moved to act, and usually they want to start something, right? The entrepreneurship doesn't necessarily just have to be in the context of for-profit businesses. It can also be in the context of anything that you start that, you're basically creating to solve a problem, whether it's a market problem or whether it's a social problem. Having the ability and willingness to take risk and to start something new is something that we also find as a key quality, a key ingredient in social leadership around system change. Next, what we also find is for systems change specifically, is really a deep, and I think I talked a little bit about this before when I talked about the new idea that the leader has been focused on, oftentimes even since their youth. That new idea usually has to do with a social issue. Usually, changing systems can be for the good or for the bad. But the social entrepreneurs that we support really have a key problem that they want to solve. And understanding that problem is key to being a systems change leader, right? You need to have a deep understanding of the problem. You need to have done your research, understanding the context, understanding how the system actually works, right? And systems are pretty complex and messy. And so it's not just understanding one part of the system, but it's understanding, the problem and how the system works to produce that problem. And so lastly, and I think most importantly, the feature that is universal among all social entrepreneurs with a focus on system change is a very clear understanding of their values and who they are. And that really guides all of the work that they do. And we've been supporting social impact leaders, system change leaders for over 40 years. And we feel like that is the #1 ingredient that ensures success. And that really speaks to everything that the leader does. Again, including how they sort of view their relationships, their funding relationships. You know, they're going to cement relationships that really speak to who they are, their values, right? They're not going to necessarily go after money or partnerships, whether, you know, even if those funding partnerships can really, you know, help their organizations, they're not going to cement partnerships where there's not a value alignment, right? And so that's a key feature of a social impact leader that focuses on system change. And also another aspect of that is having a very strong ethical fiber, really getting buy-in and trust from the communities that they serve is a very important, and that has to be authentically done, right? You have to, really care about the people and really feel even a moral obligation in your leadership to really create impacts that's going to change systems for the good of the world. So, that's my very simple keynote, and I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thank you so much, Mark. All of you have been amazing and fantastic. And just say one of my former bosses for an organization called Bite the Ballot was an Ashoka Fellow. And I just loved how inspiring he was. And it was really a lot of these ethos that you've talked about and the whole focus on community. And what I love about some of the writings that I've seen from you, Mark, you've talked about really finding that critical need within a community and seeing how it's underserved, and then thinking about how to develop and build the entrepreneurial ecosystem around it. And I think that really just echoes a lot of the things that we've covered today in terms of the challenges ahead of us and what we need to think about and how to build it. But I think it's all very positive and exciting because we have, of course, many young African geniuses who are listening in, which leads us perfectly on to, last but not least, Patrick, who, of course, I'm sure many of you. Yes, by the way, guys, because we had such limited time, I haven't gone into introducing everyone, but I'm sure you've all read their incredible bios. I love it. I was so inspired. I need to, it's my reading material for later on again and again to just really get that invigorating motivation in terms of all the possibilities of what can be achieved. But yes, so Patrick, on to you. Please tell us, please give us your keynote.
All right, first, thank you all for the invitation to speak here. If I may, I'd like to share my screen real quick as I'm talking about what we do at Ashesi. I used to work in technology at Microsoft Corporation. I'd grown up in Ghana, I'd gone to college in the US, and then off to work at Microsoft. And in my early 30s, I decided to leave Microsoft to go set up a university in Ghana to prepare myself for that. But it wasn't just it wasn't setting up a university for the sake of it. It was really around this purpose that we needed a renaissance in Africa. So, everything about Ashesi has been around this idea that we want to be a catalyst for major change and development of leaders on the continent. And our mission to educate a new generation of ethical entrepreneurial leaders in Africa was sort of an unusual mission statement for a university, right? Even though many universities around the world concern themselves with, sort of encouraging students to think about the good society and so on, that there weren't many that actually lead with ethics as something that they claim to be front and center to what they do. There's some that might talk about entrepreneurship, but very few lead with ethics as their mission. And we felt it was really important for us to do that sort of in an unflinching way, because it is really important to have these values-based leaders as the agents of change on the African continent. Now, we started very humble beginnings. Now, imagine a 30-some-year-old comes to you and says he wants to start a university in a developing country at a time when the whole world is sort of organized around the Millennium Development Goals, which did not include higher ed, that very few people took me seriously. But enough people took me seriously that we could get started. And the people that took me most seriously were people who were in my network from Microsoft Corporation, people I'd worked with, who trusted me completely, and who knew my work ethic, and who believed that I was really going to do all that I could to make this vision a reality. And then we rented a building, this white building in Accra. The roof had caved in when we rented it, and we just patched it up and got started. So we didn't even start in a facility that looked anything like a university in terms of its hardware. But we paid a lot of attention to the software of the organization, the values of the organization, the curriculum, the people, the team, and so on. And then fast forward a few years later, we had a permanent campus. And the campus, by the way, has grown beyond what you see in this picture. And I showed these two contrasting images just to sort of say that it is okay to have a really big vision. And it's okay to take the first step as a small, humble step. It's really important when you do that you have incredible resilience and deliver the kind of results that will eventually get you the support to grow, to actually accomplish the big vision that you've set out for yourself. So today at Ashesi, maybe about 20% of applicants are enrolled. Half of them are getting scholarships. About 1 in every 4 students at Ashesi receives a full scholarship. Tuition, room, and board. 48% are women, and close to 60% are studying, doing majors in STEM. Now, these are all sort of interesting metrics about Ashesi, but they don't really talk to who we really are. Who we really are is about the core values of the organization, the culture of the organization. And that's really what we care about. We also care about the output, of course, not just the inputs that I just described here. So for example, 95% of our graduates will get a job offer within 6 months of graduation or completing national service. And 100% of them will be placed within a year, right? Now contrast that with the norm in Ghana of 10% placement within 6 months. This is a radically different output than other universities. But it is important that we did this on a small scale, and this is our planned trajectory. Nobody looks at this chart and says this is an organization that is trying to scale very big to transform a continent, but actually we are. And we are now about 1,200 students at our institution today. But we've already started a project, we call it the Education Collaborative, where we sort of reached out to other universities around the continent. This year, about 144 universities participated in the collaborative, where we're sharing ideas on curriculum, on pedagogy, on administration, management of universities, how to set up our institutional cultures. And that is going to literally affect the lives of millions of students, not students on our campus, but students on other campuses that are now engaged with us. And those universities are engaged with us because we are now credible. We've delivered such a good result that they're willing to listen to us. And by the way, we remain humble, so we're also listening to them, and we continue to grow and learn from others as we go on this journey. And to date, we have, we've deployed over $100 million to get to where we are, which is very different than, when I started. We started after I had raised $2 million. It was really difficult to fundraise. But over time, as we delivered results, we've been able to get the financial support so that we can change the lives of so many people who otherwise would not be able to come to Ashesi, and through them, change their societies and their communities. So I want to just sort of end at this slide and say that the key message that I want to share with everybody is that it is actually important. It's not just okay, it's important to have a big vision around a central purpose of what it is you're doing. Maybe ask yourself the question, why does your organization exist? Or why are you doing what you're doing? That is an extremely important question to answer. And that becomes sort of the thing that drives, you should make that drive everything that you do. The second question that you want to answer that is extremely important is how you're actually going to accomplish that vision. And the how, a lot of people sort of jump into sort of figuring out what it is exactly they're going to do. So what is the product? Like in our case, it's a university, it offers so many majors. This is what the curriculum looks like, of what we do. But the how we do it has to do with institutional culture. It has to do with the core underlying values of the organization. What is it that guides our daily decisions and our daily actions? And I would say that question of how you get things done is extremely important. Figure out your purpose. Without that, you're sort of drifting. But once you figure out your purpose, it's really important to figure out what the core values are. And you should also make it guide who you invite onto your team, who you keep on your team. And it should guide how you develop, sort of the team. Like what kinds of professional development do you give to people who are in your organization? And if you get those things right and you persist, then you're more likely to actually achieve a big result in the world and move the needle in the world. So that's the key lesson that I want to share with you. I must say that I agree with Lord Hastings, who said that it's a good idea to work and save money, but it's beyond saving money. It's also about building a network, building social capital that's going to support you in the work that you're doing. And I also agree with Cloud that says that it's start young. Don't wait too long. So you've got to sort of find the tension between what Lord Hastings and Cloud are saying. On the one hand, it's good to start young when you've got a lot of energy. I started in my 30s. Very few people start universities in their 30s. So that was early for me. But I also started after I had worked for 8 years at Microsoft. So I had sort of gone and built that social capital and also some financial capital that helped me get my project started. And then the project then took on a life of its own to continue its momentum. So I'll end there. Unfortunately, I have to jump off the call at 1:30 GMT to attend another meeting. But I just want to thank you all for inviting me here, and I hope that what I shared was useful to all of you. Thanks.
Wow. What a note to end on. Thank you so much, Patrick. And
may I ask,
speakers.
May I ask Dr. Ware just a simple question, please?
Sure. Please go ahead with your question.
Great. So first of all, it's been a long time trying to get to have you in one of our events, and this is a huge honor for me You know, one of the things that I've told you offline, but is very important, I think is incredibly important that I mention it again in the presence of many witnesses, is that you are fundamental to what we do today at SFAN, because there was a statement you made at World Economic Forum, I suppose. You said that we must begin to understand that these kids are smart. And if we can give them the skills to engage the real world, you said magic will happen. And I think that was a spark for me, because I was studying my accounting degree at Radford, and I was trying to create a company that would contribute in solving the issue of unemployment. And I heard that statement, and it sort of resonated to everything I believe. I believe that young people are smart, as against the other alternative, which is that we are the problem. And it gave me the framework to create what we're creating today. And look where we are. And it's an honor for me. And by the way, this is our 7th anniversary. So it has come full cycle. And we are having you as part of our keynote speakers. I don't take this opportunity lightly. So
congratulations on the anniversary.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You know, you represent a lot to us, young people. There are not enough local examples of people that built it from the scratch, you know, the right way, not the easy way, but the right way. And that's what you represent for us. You represent a symbol. You are like an icon. And that's why all the time I have the opportunity to invite you, I'm always looking for that, because one statement from you can change every other thing, you know. And I hope that people who are in the call, on the call, listening to you, are taking these moments to really pick some wisdom that you've built over the years. I appreciate your work. I appreciate what you're doing. But I want to ask you, now you've worked in the corporate, you've built your own entity, and you're still growing it. What has been the learning curve from, you've shared some of them, but I want to know, as a young guy building a company with a global vision and these ambitions, what would you say has been the one definitive learning curve for you? Managing people, building processes, and developing your brand?
Well, it's hard to pick just one thing, because there's just so many things I had to learn. You know, understand that my training was in engineering, and suddenly I had to get up to speed on education, not as a consumer of education, but as a provider of it. I had to learn to navigate a different sort of corporate culture, you know, and economy, because I grew up in Ghana, but I didn't really work here beyond my national service year. So I was familiar with working in the United States. I had to learn to work in Ghana, how to navigate the public sector here. All of those things were sort of big learning curves for me. I think that as an entrepreneur, there comes a time, it's really important, like in the beginning, it's a lot of your energy that goes into getting this thing going, and everybody sort of follows you. But there comes a time when you want to sort of get to the next level. You have to learn how to delegate. And, you know, being able to delegate requires a couple of things. One is you yourself getting comfortable with the idea, and understanding that just as you made mistakes in getting started and learn from those mistakes, it's okay to let other people make mistakes and learn. And so it's okay to hand over certain decisions to them. And then the second thing is that it's really important to have a team that you trust in the first place. And so you have to have been paying a lot of attention to who you bring onto your team. So you're looking at both their sort of their professional capabilities as well as their attitude, or what is their character, right? And if you get those two things right, it's easier to delegate to people that you know will stick with the values of the organization, that you know will learn from mistakes, right? It's very difficult to delegate to somebody who you know would, if they made mistakes, for example, would try to cover them up or blame other people and therefore not learn and correct the mistakes, right? So those are the things I would say that were very key to my success.
Thank you so much, Patrick. So I'm conscious that we are now over time, and we have an exciting plenary next, which again touches on a lot of what we've discussed and was a perfect note to end on. And just say, I'm sorry that we didn't have time for more questions, but hopefully you guys can roll them over into future sessions. And just say, even for myself, yes, I completely echo what's been said with Tom, Chris. I think, you know, for everyone listening, like, this is really, you could decide this moment, you're really going to take on board these lessons. You're not just going to keep attending events, reading things. I've been that person, and not actually implementing things and changing your life. I know for me, so the social enterprise I'm running at the moment is your career side, and a lot of what's been said about partnerships development, delegating, it all massively resonates. But yes, to all our panelists, you have been phenomenal. Valerie, our wonderful innovator, and Violette, I know you're also a change agent, and I think Mark and Claude had to leave, but for me, working at Google, I'm so proud that we've supported initiatives such as True Africa in terms of Claude and his amazing transcultural philosophy. So just, we could go on and on about how wonderful all of you are. And of course, to all the young African geniuses listening, you are all just as wonderful and just as great. So yes, thank you so much to everyone.
Thank you.
I love the enthusiasm.
Bye, everyone.
No, before Mr. Patrick, you step out, can I just have ask a short question? Or Nasha, how do we channel the question to him? I'll send it to you privately.
Yes, you
then
can
I think
get in
you can,
contact with Tom, Chris about that. We probably have to move along, but yes, thank you everyone. Right. Well done. Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nyasha. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. You made it excellent. Thanks a lot.
As did you.
Thank you. I'm hoping that you tag along through the other panel.
I will have to run off, sadly. Even now, I was like, trying to, things, and yes, like concurrent meetings are the bane of my life. But yes, I would love to stay, and I'm so glad it's being recorded. That's my, I'm happy, like it's recorded. It's like, good.
Well, we're streaming on the website as well, so you can always check in.
Exactly. Take care, everyone.
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. We'll be moving on to the next panel, which is on education and entrepreneurship and the future of work. And we have really exciting panelists to handle this important topic. But our moderator is Ides. I will be calling her on to take over. Are you? Oh, great.
Yeah, can you hear me? Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, I'm audible. Okay, all right. Great session we've had so far. And as I've been listening, there have been so many questions coming to my mind. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask the panelists these questions because they're really, really very important. So the topic for this session is education, entrepreneurship, and the future of work. And we're trying to find out the intersection between education, entrepreneurship, and the future of work. And we're going to be having interesting conversations around this. To do justice to this topic, we have Damilola Ashaolu. She's a human resource executive with over 15 years experience in human resource management. And currently she is the human resource manager at Bank of America. And the second person on the panel is Foster Ofosu. He is a capacity development specialist at the African Development Bank. He has the responsibility for leading program development at the bank. He is an economist with over 20 years experience researching, teaching, and practicing international business in Europe and Africa. And the next person is Juman Mtambalike. I hope I got that right. He's an entrepreneur and technologist. He's the founder of Sahara Ventures, the parent company of Sahara Sparks event, which is Africa's largest event on innovation and technology. So the next person is Kelechi Okeleke. He is the director of social and regional research at GSMA. He's the regional specialist for Middle East and Africa, and he's leading flagship reports for both regions. So we can see that we have panelists with very rich set of experience, and they're really very diverse, and they're going to be doing justice to this topic. So the first person I'm going to be starting with is Damilola. So my question to you is that, given your experience that you have and then your rich background, I just want to know sorry, I just want to know if, I just want to know the skills and the abilities and the mindset you think young people should have, especially given our realities. I'm talking about the trends that young people need to take note of in order to move up the career ladder or just to get into the workforce. Because from your experience, I'm sure you have interviewed a lot of people, you've seen people in your organization moving up. What are the skills, experiences, the abilities that you think a young person should have to, first of all, get into the workforce, and then secondly, to move up the career ladder?
Hi, I think it's afternoon your time and it's morning my time. So good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Good evening if you're in Australia or something like that, or Asia. So I think when we talk about skills, there's a story, well, not a story, it's kind of like a legend we always say in HR, that how we know who to hire is if, you know, you have a conversation with someone and you find yourself saying, I can be on a plane with this person. You know, I can be stuck at the airport with this person. I don't mind being stuck at the airport with this person for like 3 hours. Maybe we missed our flight and we have to be there for like 5 hours. This person would be a great person to, you know, be stuck at the airport with. So I think the first thing, you know, that employers and I think recruiters look for is connection. So whenever you're trying to apply for a job, or you're trying to, or there's a particular job that you're thinking about applying for and you have to connect to the recruiter, always do your background research on even just the recruiter. Like recruiters, they're the gatekeepers of every organization. So I would say do your research. Is there something about that person that you find on LinkedIn? Maybe they like to, you know, they were a former Girl Scout, you know, were you a former Girl Scout? Find one thing that can help you connect with either your hiring manager or your recruiter. That's the first thing that, you know, makes you, I guess, memorable to whoever does your interview, whoever is that gatekeeper that's going to let you into the organization, right? So find something that connects you both. And it's very easy. You might say, oh, you know, I am an African, I was born in Africa, and there's nothing I could have in common with Mark Zuckerberg. You'll be surprised. He likes to run, and maybe you like to run. That's something that you guys could talk about in your conversation. So that I guess flexibility, finding yourself able to be flexible and adaptable to somebody else's experience, and finding that level of connection is something that I would say that has always worked for me, and I've always found it I've always seen that quality in people that I interview, and it has made them memorable to me. So that's what I would advise. And I would also say, in terms of skills, when you talk about like technical hard skills, I would say, of course, it's tough to, you know, to say, hey, you know, go learn SQL. SQL is the next big thing, or go learn AI. AI is the next big thing. That depends. I'm not going to tell a HR manager to go learn AI or go learn SQL. The one thing that I would say is, you know, in terms of hard skills, I can't give you any hard skills, but I would say soft skills are key. They are very key. They are the things that you're going to need even as you progress through an organization, right? So you might be a great programmer and you might have the best Java skills or programming skills, but it gets to a point in your career where it's not going to take you anywhere. Like your best Java skills are not going to move you across the move you upwards in the organization. You're going to need, you know, things like communication skills. You're going to need leadership skills. You're going to need all those kind of skills. So I'm going to say to young people, build those skills, right? Depending on what kind of industry you are, still keep an eye on the soft skills. That's what's going to take you through to the top of your career. So the leadership skills are something that we look out for. No matter how young you are, you can have leadership skills. Leadership skills, communication skills are very important. As a HR manager, I cannot tell you how many leaders I have, and I'm talking about leaders that are paid millions of dollars that have horrible communication skills. Horrible. Like, we have to train them in communication skills. So that's another thing I would say, you know, pick up. If you can speak well, I'm telling you, you can do anything. If you can communicate well, you can go anywhere. Think about Oprah. Think about even the former President Obama. His communication skills are basically what got him to that position of being president. So communication skills, leadership skills, like I said, be flexible, be adaptable, and always try and find a connection with people. So yeah, that would be my advice for the young people.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to get back to you on another question, but let me quickly move because of our time. So I don't know if Mr. Ofosu is on this call, because I was checking for him to find out.
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Ofosu, so you work for a multinational organization, and it's a very prominent one. So from your experience working in such a prominent multinational organization and giving today's realities in Africa, I'm talking about young people, no jobs, and the way our continent is, how can multinational organizations best support human capital development in young Africans, especially in terms of entrepreneurship? You know, how do you think multinational organizations, not just in Africa, but all across the world, can support young Africans to become entrepreneurs or to develop their human capital, basically?
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you for the introduction. Just to be clear that I don't lead the program department of the bank. I have a boss for that.
Okay. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, and also also to establish that, yes, I will speak briefly about the role of multilateral finance institutions generally.
Okay.
And that I will not be formally represent the African Development Bank where I work for. But having said that, I think MDIs or multilateral development finance institutions have the same obligation basically as other stakeholders in the ecosystem, if you like. Sometimes I wonder if there is really an ecosystem in Africa, but that's another discussion.
Okay.
So basically, my observation with these organizations is that there are three key issues that entrepreneurs need. And as an older man, I also feel somehow guilty talking to young people about entrepreneurship because I got talked about this like several years ago, and I was the future of the continent. So I feel sort of guilty that I'm an old man now and repeating the same message to young people. But getting back to the topic, I think the three areas that multilateral development agencies and everybody else in the ecosystem needs to focus on. One is capacity, which could be formal education or other forms of incapacitating the young people to make the right decisions, regarding the ideas, to do things right, not only just to do the right thing. I see a lot of young people in Africa actually doing the right thing, because they want to help society or they want to make great jobs for themselves or for others. But the capacity to do this right, is where I think, some of these major MDIs, focus on and need to focus on. I know, for example, that, at the African Development Bank, there is a lot of emphasis on educating and developing the capacity of Africa's youth to create jobs. There is a Jobs for Youth program, which is targeting, creating 25 million direct jobs and 15 million indirect jobs for young people. So these are there. There are also other key activities, including a Coding for Employment program. But the point is, organizations like this can only, move as far as their resources would allow, in terms of capacity. So I'm also glad to hear that other stakeholders, such as universities and other educational institutions and even the private sector are getting on board, in solving this first problem, which I think is the foremost problem for entrepreneurs and innovators in Africa. The second, I think, is also access to data and supporting these young entrepreneurs to make data-backed decisions. Oftentimes, and by my experience, and I interact with a lot of young people who go with a gut feeling, which is okay. We create things because we are passionate about it, but passionate does not necessarily ensure success. We create things, we are passionate about it, and we expect that, everybody and their mother should put their money into what we are doing. But oftentimes, we don't make decisions or we don't convince others based on data. And this leads me to the third thing that I think, and which is what MDIs do very well, which is access to finance. But the point is whether it's a multilateral development institution or an angel investor or an equity investor, venture capitalist, it doesn't matter. you must have something that is bankable. And you must prove that you are capable of seeing that thing through, that you have the competence and the capacity to do that. And you need to convince whoever would bring their finance into your project, that at the end of the day, you have made decisions that are backed by data, not because you feel that this is needed, or you have observed that this is needed, or you assume that 2 million people in Africa are going to need that. So I think these are the three for me, the three key areas, that MDIs and other organizations would need to support young people, not only to create businesses or projects, but also to create jobs, and most importantly, to grow jobs. Because the reasons we're doing this is that it's not just that young people can create their own jobs, but they can also grow these enterprises and be able to create further jobs, to catalyze further jobs. So growth is also very important in what we do.
Yeah, thank you very. Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Opose. I'm really very concerned about the data, especially maybe because I'm a PhD researcher, and I know that when it comes to getting data from Africa, sometimes it's really a very challenging task to get raw data and trying to analyze it. So because of that, your research is limited, but I'm going to come back to that later on. So let me speak to Mr. Juman. So I'm going to quote a report, a recent report. So according to a recent Beta British research, 40% of African entrepreneurs surveyed had a bachelor's degree, 21% had a master's degree, and an additional 9% had an MBA. Only 1% of the respondents had no degree at all. So as a successful entrepreneur yourself, what do you think is the intersection between education and entrepreneurship success? So what is it in formal education that you think breeds achievement in entrepreneurs? Or do you think there is a link between formal education, having a degree, and having success in entrepreneurship? So could you just share your views or your insights, what you think about this?
Okay, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So my name is Juman Tambarike. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Sahara Ventures. Sahara Ventures is a group of companies. We have a marketplace for investors and entrepreneurs called Sahara Sparks. We also have an accelerator which supports post-revenue business, and we do a lot of work around innovation, entrepreneurship, and tech. So as an entrepreneur, but also my experience working in the Africa innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem for more than 10 years now, there are different career paths for an entrepreneur. You have traditional entrepreneurs, traditional SMEs, small and medium enterprises, and these have been around since when we started to get independent in Africa. This is what most of the African government knows. Our funding structure, our support mechanism, they understand more this kind of entrepreneurs. And then you have the new generation entrepreneurs, startups, fast-growing businesses, heavily relying on technology. So to contextualize the relationship between knowledge, skills, experience, and entrepreneurship in relation to a young entrepreneur in Africa, you have to contextualize these two path of entrepreneurship. You have to think about the traditional path where a woman can establish a shop just outside the house, selling eggs and some small household items. But at the same time, you can think about somebody like Tom who started a startup, Uber for I don't know whatever, and pushing stuffs across Accra or any other major African city. So those are two different tracks, first of all. But one thing for sure, all of them, they require some kind of knowledge or skills for you to be able to excel in a certain kind of business. For example, in my country, Tanzania, we even have some specific sect of tribes where we believe they are traditionally very strong in doing and running businesses, whether they go to school or not, but they've been successful doing businesses for years. So that's one part. But for the context of this discussion, we have to look into how our universities, our academic institutions are preparing Africans youth to be entrepreneurial ready. And that is where the problem starts. Most of our universities still operate in what we call second generation universities. Their primary focus is just academic and research. But the University of Currents and University of the Future, they'll be focusing more beyond academic and research. They'll be focusing around academic, research, innovation, and entrepreneurship. That's why if you go to some of the large academic institutions across the world that are actually capitalizing on technology transformation and digital transformation, you will see things like incubator program, accelerator programs, co-working space, innovation hubs, innovation labs, maker spaces, all this kind of stuff within the academic institutional setup. Why are they setting them up? It's because you need to equip your young people with relevant skills so that they can continue to be relevant to the needs of the market. And academic institutions being very rigid, it takes so long for them to transform to be able to comprehend with what is already happening. So what we are seeing right now, for example, in Tanzania, according to the World Bank, the skills mismatch is extremely huge. Young people, what they're being taught in the university is completely different with what they find in the market. And this is true, this is also true for young entrepreneurs. If you go to a local university right now, it doesn't matter whether in Accra, in Yaoundé, or in Dar es Salaam, you're not being taught about preparation of investor decks. You're not being taught about investor readiness. You're not being taught about how to pitch and present your business. You're not being taught about forming startup teams. All these kind of stuffs, which are very crucial for you to build your foundation as an entrepreneur, you are not being taught at the university. So I think it's extremely important we transform our university to third generation university, where we can start to embrace innovation and entrepreneurship and build foundation for African youth to become entrepreneurs. So I'll stop there and then we can continue.
Okay, thank you very much. Really very interesting conversation. So let me move quickly to Kenichi because of our time. And Mr. Kenichi, given your vast experience in research, because I can see that you have a lot of experience in research. So, and we have talked a lot about entrepreneurship and education. Mr. Juman just talked about education, our education system. So how do you think we can rethink our education system to spur this entrepreneurship mindset in young people? So do you think entrepreneurship can be taught in schools, first of all? And if it can, how do we reshape or reconfigure our education systems to make sure that it's teaching young people to become entrepreneurs, or it's even coming to their minds at all? So how do you think education systems can do this?
That's an interesting question. So yeah, well, let me just give a bit of background myself. Kenichi, I work for the GSMA, the London hospital headquarters, and the GSMA is an industry organization representing mobile operators around the world. Now, entrepreneurship, it's obviously, I think that is the future, of work, and COVID-19, has really brought that to the fore for many people. We have seen, that to a large extent, when global cyclical events like this happen, the last major shakeup we had was in the late 2000s, and now we're having this major shakeup. One of the outcome, of it, has been economic contraction and job losses that have gone along with it. And to a large extent, people who have less control, over, where they work or how they work have been most affected by this. So that really brings us to begin to realize the importance of entrepreneurship, being able to control some elements, if not all elements of your work. Okay. Now, when we talk about entrepreneurship, fine, the general perception is that it's you starting your own business from scratch. That's, you know, that's it to a very large extent. But at the same time, even though, you know, you are working somewhere else, even though you have a 9-to-5 job somewhere else, okay, you can still, in your spare time, be an entrepreneur. You can still, in your spare time, start up, you know, a sort of business, okay. And if you're not getting your hands dirty in it, okay, but you know, still have interactions of people who are, you know, right in the thick of it, okay, and maybe that's leading us slightly towards being an investor, okay, but it's all still, you know, part of the wider umbrella of having the mindset of starting something that you have greater control over. And so to your question of how our schools can begin to, our education system can begin to bring this, you know, into the minds of students. If I'm honest with you, that's going to be a, you know, not an easy task, because our education system is pretty much one of those sectors, especially in Africa, one of those sectors that's still very much steeped in tradition and steeped in the past, you know, in old ways of doing things. So it's got to be a top-down change, as it were, okay. There's something very interesting about this generation. Most of the people listening to us, okay, they are mostly people who were, you know, born after the year 2000. Now, you know, for so many of us, 2000 doesn't seem too far back, but, you know, people born after the year 2000, these people grew up with mobile phones, for example, you know. So unlike myself, you know, that didn't hold a mobile phone until I was, you know, in my 20s, these people have literally grown up with digital technologies. So they see the world differently from the way our education system is currently set up, and not much has changed in the education system. You know, so to a large extent, a lot of the people learning to be entrepreneurs are learning how to do so outside of the education system. So yes, that change needs to happen in the education system. I studied mathematics for my first degree, but I've never used it to work for one day, you know, well, apart from doing simple additions, you know, but when I was in school, it was like, that was the ultimate. I had to get this degree, but beyond that, you know, practical application has been quite limited. So that top-down change needs to happen in the education system to realize that we almost don't have, you know, we're going to have a generation of people who are coming into a very fragmented market, okay, as opposed to the way our parents, you know, when they go to work, it's either you're working for the government, 80-90% of the population working for the government as civil servants, and another 10%, you know, working in the private sector. But today you have a fragmented, you know, marketplace, you know, and one thing, if I'm to talk about one thing that brings everything together, both the future of work, education and entrepreneurship, it is digital technologies, okay? And that is where the education system needs to begin to change itself from within, realizing the role digital technologies will play in the future. Digital technologies break a lot of barriers, right? So with digital technologies, you don't necessarily have to, you know, be working actively in a particular sector before you can create solutions for that particular sector, okay? Because the barriers, you know, have been broken. These technologies pretty much permeate all different sectors, you know, so whether as a student, as a young entrepreneur, or somebody who is already in work, okay, digital technologies give you the platform, you know, to begin to build your entrepreneurial mindset, to begin to look for solutions that need to be solved. It could be solutions that need to be solved in your workplace, in the environment you live or in a faraway country, okay? And with digital technologies, you're able to begin to bring about, you know, those solutions. And very importantly, you know, is the issue of partnerships. Okay, now partnerships for the individual entrepreneur, you know, look for people with the same mindset as yourself, look for people who are doing something similar to what you want to do, okay, and engage with them, learn from them, okay, and grow together. And also partnerships for education institutions, talking about those in Africa. We're beginning to see, you know, a lot of educational institutions out here in the West, as some people have alluded to, you know, that are already beginning to change their curriculum to bring in that entrepreneurial mindset, because of, you know, how our educational systems back home are still steeped in tradition. If they're gonna rise up very quickly on that learning curve, partnerships is one way that they can achieve that, okay? And I think, you know, that is one way we can begin to see that change, but, you know, for the schools themselves, and also very importantly for the individuals who are looking to become entrepreneurs, either fully starting something from scratch on their own, or perhaps working with a group of other individuals to build something they can have greater control over.
Thank you very much. We're almost running out of time, but I just want us to give a very quick word of advice, because this is a student entrepreneurship week. So for everyone, if you have the opportunity to speak to a student still in school, what would your advice be? Like, the student is still in school right now studying. What would you say, what would your advice be to that student? So just few seconds to just give the last word so that we can round up this session. I'm going to be starting with Ms. Dami. Just a quick word for a student watching this. What would you think, what would you advise the person to do?
If you're still a student and I don't know, you're probably in the university, I would say learn new languages. If you can find, if you can take some language classes, I would definitely say learn a new language, and an important language, maybe Chinese or Spanish. Or, I would definitely brush up on your language skills. That's one thing that I would, sorry, I was hearing something in the background. Yeah, I would say brush up on your language skills. Those are going to be key in the I guess in the future. We're seeing a lot more, like here in the US, where we're looking for Spanish speakers, even for, you know, jobs where it's predominantly English, but a lot of states are beginning to have, you know, the dual language requirements. So I would say pick up a language or two. It's really going to help you go far in the future. And I think the other thing that I would say is I would say build relationships. Even from school, start to build those relationships. Start to reach out to people on LinkedIn. You know, if there's a particular job that you're interested in, a particular organization you're interested in, start to build those relationships even from now. Be proactive. Reach out to HR folks. Reach out to folks that have the kind of jobs that you want, and just, you know, ask them, can I have, you know, coffee with you sometime? Okay, now we have COVID, so we can't have coffee outside, but maybe a virtual chat. Can I call you, you know, just talk to you about your career, ask people about themselves, just build those connections now, so that by the time you leave school, and if you want to get a job, it's easier for you to, you know, you already have someone in those organizations that you're interested in. So that would be my advice. And I have to run because my time, I have another meeting, but yeah, it was great being on this panel. Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. It was really interesting. So I'm going to go over to you, Mr. Ofosu. So what would you advise the young students who is still in school, not necessarily seeking to start a business, but maybe starting a business, getting a job? What would you advise the students?
Yeah, my advice is simple, you know, that they should by all means focus on their studies, you know, aim for the good grades, but more importantly, you know, to start developing the personal tools, you know, that would help them to continue learning when they get out of school. That they should get out or will get out of school and then start to use those tools, not just what they read in the books, My advice is that they should realize that they are not being trained for any particular job or for any particular business, that the biggest resource they can develop for themselves and take out of school is the ability to think. So I advise them to go out there, to think, to adapt, to evolve, to learn, to understand their environment, to grow. And then if their path is to find a job, they should find a job that they like and learn to do it better. If their path is entrepreneurship, then they should put those thinking caps on, understand the environment, and create the ventures that make sense to the environment and that have the potential to grow and employ other people. That's what I would tell them.
All right, thank you very much. I'm particularly interested in Mr. Juman because of your experience as an entrepreneur, and you talked about building the entrepreneurship mindset. So for a young student still in school and thinking to start a business, and given the reality of our education system that they really don't teach us how to start a business, and really, and there are no jobs out there. So as a business, as an entrepreneur, what would you tell the young students right now? What advice would you tell them, given your background in entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so my advice would be primarily learn and learn and relearn. It's extremely important to learn. From the previous speakers, you've heard them talking about learning, and there's no better time to learn like the time you're at the university. You have ample time to play games, to hang out with friends, to go out, to do so many other things. So capitalize that time, make sure you learn, go online, access massive open online courses, whether it's EDX, Coursera, Udemy, Udacity, Skillshare. Learn something new every day, because great entrepreneurs, they don't start as entrepreneurs, they start as learners. They learn, they start to see opportunities. So make sure you learn, consume the right content online, read stories of successful people, follow successful entrepreneurs, read about their path. What you're learning at university is something very small. The actual learning starts outside the university. So start to capitalize on different platforms. If you're looking to learn new skills, get online, get a certificate, do a diploma on project management. They're available for free on platforms like Harrison. So try to learn as much as possible, because the world is changing very fast and the skills you have can soon become irrelevant. So try to learn as much as possible. If you want to succeed, learn, learn, learn.
Okay, so thank you very much. I think because we're out of time, so I'm just going to be rounding up this session. We've talked about why I really ended up on that session, because I know that this is a student entrepreneurship week, and most people who are going to be listening are students. And if I can turn back to when I was a young student during my bachelor's degree, I wasn't really thinking about entrepreneurship. I was just concentrating on my studies, getting the good grades, only for me to graduate and see that the world out there is actually different from what you experience on campus. So I hope we have had rich conversations. I hope young people have learned one or two things. And I'm going to hand over to Tom Chris. Thank you very much for this, for putting together this event and for the insightful and rich conversations we have had. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to all of you. Thank you, Ides. Ides, we really appreciate your support, and you've managed the panel excellently well. Thank you so much. I have a question for all of you, because most times, as you know, access is also a challenge. Where would you say people should go to find what information are available, that maybe through your organization, that people can activate right away? And of course, that cuts across the board, including you, Ides, because of course you're connected. So to hear from each one of you before we go into our next section, where are opportunities, what type of opportunities, where can people access them?
Okay, maybe let me start for myself. I would say the first place to get information for me is from your network. Like, I think it was Ms. Damilola that talked about having a strong network. It's from your network. That's where you get the first-hand information, first of all. And that's why it's very important for you to build a good network. I can remember when I just graduated from school then, and I was looking for a job. The easiest way for me to get a job was from friends. Oh, there is a job opportunity here. There's a job opportunity there. Oh, there is an aptitude test going on here. Oh, somebody's looking for a job here, and that was how I was able to get information. That was before the before internet, before the preponderance of internet. Now I'm talking about now that anybody has a smartphone, can go on the internet. Before then, it was getting jobs was from word of mouth. So I would say your network, first of all, that's one of the basic. That's very basic on how to get information. And then secondly, the internet, you can follow so many sites on social media. You have so many sites nowadays that teaches on webinars, and then they churn out a lot of information. They churn out a lot of
Can you name drop maybe
blogs.
a few?
Opportunity Decks, for example. Opportunity Decks, this is just that's where, for me, I get a lot of information. And then of your organization, SFN, so that's also a place to get a lot of information. And when I talk about information, not just how to get a job, but how to build yourselves, what you need to do, and things like that. So for me, those two things, I would not really joke with them: your network and then the internet.
Thank you very much, Juman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so from us, actually, we have a very popular YouTube channel. It has more than 200 videos of young entrepreneurs pitching and presenting their businesses. I've shared the link on the chat. They can access that YouTube channel. They can also visit our website, www.saharaventures.com, where they can see publication and report of different startups. They can be inspired from what those startups are doing. But also there is a channel called Wonder. If you just Google Wonder, you'll get to know information about startup in the MENA region, Middle East and North Africa. It's a very strong resource if you want to get inspired with some business ideas. Also, World Bank has a platform called InfoDev, where they can go and learn about entrepreneurship in Africa. So I've just shared them on the link. They can access them. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Forster?
Yeah, just quickly from me, I think the biggest source, of course, is yourself. I mean, there's so much data and so much information available, even though we also know that we have information shortage in the continent. So the reason I say it's yourself is, that decision to get into what you are doing and finding the space, where the gap is and the gap that you're going to fill. But there are also, for the multilateral, development banks, there are a lot of public domain data. From the African Development Bank, there's Africa Information Superhighway. I know that the World Bank has a wealth of data, the IMF and a lot like these organizations, public domain data that you can get. But I think, also as an individual, as an entrepreneur, you should be able to sort of actively create your own knowledge out of the data that is available or not. For example, in terms of finding a customer, who the right customer is, one tool could be you yourself as the entrepreneur, creating that persona, that customer persona, and actively also collecting primary data. And this is what I think, as Africans, we don't do very much. When I talked about data, that you can actually create your own primary data around your project. So yes, there is a public domain data, but the ability to make any sense of the data depends on your capacity, not just to collect your own data, but also to analyze public domain data. Thank you. I hope this helps.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Kenichi, I don't know if you're still on the call.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. I have two questions actually for you. One is, where can people find opportunities? The second one is how you got to be where you are today.
Okay. So the first one, it's a very simple one that we all know, and that is LinkedIn. Okay. Now it's very, easy. I mean, I was guilty of that, to previously think that, LinkedIn is just for you to connect with people, which is good, expand your network and all that, but it's got lots and lots of resources. There are people who post a lot of life experiences, career experiences, nearship experiences, new trends happening in their sectors or in their markets. If you go in there, there's a treasure trove of information that you can get. And if you can afford, a premium account, that means that you also get access to LinkedIn Learning, okay, where you can pretty much, learn lots of things really that you probably will be needing an MBA to learn otherwise. You pretty much get it there on LinkedIn. So that's the first one. The second one, how did I get to where I am? I will, say I wouldn't want to say it's hard work, right? Because there are many people who work hard as well. But I'll say, maybe it's about seizing opportunities as they come by. Okay, keep your eyes open for opportunities. Be willing to take risks sometimes. Okay, if I chat, my path so far, from graduating in university, to doing my master's in the UK and staying back and getting a job here and all that. A lot of it, involves taking risks, but those risks were because I saw an opportunity to move a step higher and took that opportunity. So for anybody listening, I will say it's, keep an eye open for opportunities. And when those opportunities come up, in your radar, be willing, to make that move. Okay, it might be a risky one, but look, without trying, okay, you don't get it. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
To every one of you for a wonderful time. Thank you for accommodating our challenges early on with the internet and all that. It's very stable now. We are streaming very excellently now. This is the end of this panel. And I want to thank you once again for making all the time. A lot of you are in different time zones. Keneshi, you are in the UK. And by the way, I've been trying to get a hold of you for a very long time. I don't know if you know, but I'm also Nigerian. So I hope we'll have more time to connect outside this session. There are so many ideas that I have in mind we can discuss with you. So I'm marketing to you now using this opportunity. But
that's absolutely fine. No, I know you've invited me a few times to the live session in Accra, which I wasn't able to make because it clashed with some other engagements I had elsewhere. But this virtual platform has given me the opportunity to participate. So hopefully, yes, in the future, I look forward to working more closely with you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Foster Ofosu, for making out the time and accepting my invite. It was very exciting for us. One of the things that we try to do is to galvanize the right kind of people to discuss the topic and give people actionable tools and insights. Ides, I appreciate your time as well. Juman has dropped off because he had to run, as well as Dami, who is in the US, also had to fix another project. But I'm so grateful for your time. And this is the end of this session. We're having a wonderful lady who works with Tony Robbins, among other organizations she works with Tony Robbins, Tim Draper, the foremost investor, I think is Skype and Tesla, and a whole lot of global entrepreneurs that she has trained and developed and worked with and guided. She has been with us before at the early stages of this project, the Student Entrepreneurship Week. She was with us here in Ghana in 2018. And now she is in the US joining us. Her name is Gina Close. I tell you something, I always like to say this, after her session, you will question all your life choices and you'll get ready to make better ones. So without further ado, Gina, I hand over to you. Gina, are you still there?
Yes, I am. Good morning, everyone. Yes. It's morning here. It's 7 a.m. or it's like 7:25 here in California, and I don't even know what time it is there. I am so excited to be here with all of you. Tom, Chris, how long has everybody been sitting?
We've been sitting for past 2 hours, I think.
Well, I just think that before we start, we need to get up and we need to move our bodies a little bit.
Absolutely.
So everybody get on, and we're gonna say 1, 2, 3. Yes. But
Please
I want
put
you
on
all
the
to
microphone.
start by getting up and let's move our bodies. Here we go. Let me put a little music on for you. Let's change our state for a moment. Come on.
Oh,
everybody up, stand up and move your body.
I hope I can. Oh, yes.
Notice how you feel if you move your body. Come on, you guys, all those of you on YouTube Live. Come on, you guys that have your videos off. Let's move our bodies. Notice what it feels like. Nobody's flying on an airplane. Come on, Tom, Chris, shake it.
Yeah, Tom, I'm with you, man.
That's what, look at you go. Come on, Gordon, come on. We could all be dancing in the street in Barcelona or in Accra or wherever you are. Welcome.
Oh, yeah.
This just reminds us of the last year's session.
We're all in our offices. All right. Now this woman is crazy. She has us dance. All right, let me unmute myself. All right, you say, what are we doing? You know, she's supposed to be coming and teaching us something. And part of it is moving your body and having some energy and allowing those molecules to move through your body into your mind. And I am delighted and excited to be here today to talk to you guys about leading yourself and others in stressful times. You know, right now, gosh, as you all know, we're in the middle of a world pandemic. Many of us are home or in our offices, cooped up, and it can be very stressful for people. And so I'm here to talk to you about that. I'm here to talk about leading yourself, leading others during these times. And I'm totally delighted. So let's just get right into it. Let me share my screen here real quick. So this topic today is really leading yourself and others in stressful times. I'm Gina Close. Here's my website, my email. You can join our group at Magical Moments with Gina. And let's just talk about the world for a moment. Our world needs great leaders now more than ever. If you haven't noticed, I'm from the United States. I'll apologize for our leader right now. I'll say sorry, but we need great leaders, and that can be you. And that can be you. And it's easy to say, right? Be a great leader. But great leaders do three things. They see the world as it is, not better, not worse. They see situations as they are, not better and not worse. And two, they inspire people to believe that together you have the power to move through a crisis. Yes, there are harsh realities in the world, but people are looking for certainty, looking for leaders. Even if you don't have the answer, being together, sharing with your teams, sharing with your companies, sharing with your communities and your families, saying we will get through this to a better place and thrive. Not just survive, but thrive. And then great leaders lead people there. Those are the three things. Consider for a moment how you're seeing the world right now. How are you seeing the world? Are you seeing it as just crisis and devastation? Yes, there's a lot of that. But can you also see what's possible in the future? Because in the midst of all these challenges, there are so many opportunities for entrepreneurs. And so if you, can you inspire people, including yourself, to believe that together you can make the world a better place. You can make your company thrive. And you can lead others there, but the first person you're going to have to lead is yourself. So let me just give you a little bit of my background. My name is Gina Close. My greatest leadership moment was when I was 16 years old and my family had no money. My dad was an alcoholic and I got a job in a petrol station, a gas station attendant. It was my proudest moment. I would pump gas, I would wash windows, I would change tires, and I was making money to help my family, and it was fantastic. Fast forward, I was a Silicon Valley attorney, working with a lot of startup entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley and elsewhere. I've taught anywhere from I've taught on Richard Branson's Necker Island. He is an amazing leader. I teach gang leaders in the hood entrepreneurship. And I'm the #1 rated speaker at Draper University in Silicon Valley. I've taught so many companies and startups there. In the last decade, it's been an extraordinary, beautiful experience for me. And I have a question for all of you. And I'm gonna come off my share in a moment. Tell me the qualities of a great leader. What are the qualities of great leaders in your life? What are the qualities of great leaders in your life? Okay, I'm gonna call on some people that are on here. Ishmael, what's a quality of a great leader in your life?
So for me, the quality of a great leader, someone who is visionary.
Oh my gosh, you have this great awesome buzzing coming in that I can't hear you. Wait.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, it's a really cool buzz. I feel like it's a spaceship. We're all going up in space. Go ahead. What are the qualities?
Okay, so a great leader is someone who has a vision, someone who can lead people somewhere.
Vision, that's great. That person has a vision that can lead you somewhere. It goes back to, seeing where you want to go and going there. Thank you. Thank you so much. Maria, I see you there. Maria, I'm going to ask to unmute you. Hi, Maria.
Hello.
Good morning or good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are in the world. What are some qualities of a great leader?
I would say one quality of a great leader is someone who has empathy for the people around them.
You are so great. Empathy, and we have vision, empathy. Anything else? Any other quality that you can think of?
Another quality is a good time manager.
Time manager, yeah, good. Anything else? One more?
And a quick decision maker and a critical thinker.
Perfect, decisive and a critical thinker. Thank you so much, Maria. Mohammed, it's you. I'm going to ask you to unmute and share a couple of qualities of a great leader.
Thank you so much, Gina. I'll say the first one is someone who is directional, someone who is patient, someone who is goal-oriented.
Yep.
And
patient.
Yeah, someone who is determined. Yeah, determination.
Yes. Determination. Oh my gosh. You don't give up. You have grit. You're going to keep going no matter what. You will not accept defeat. Yes. That mindset, you are so spot on. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing, everyone. Think right now, for all of you on YouTube Live and the rest of you that are on here, what are the qualities of a great leader in your life? Think of the people that you really care about, that you go to as your leaders, that you think about when you think of great leaders. Think about that just for a moment and think about those qualities. Let's get back to my share here, the qualities of great leaders in your life. So we're going to talk about those in more depth, and actually for leadership, especially in times of crisis, there are 5 principles. Now, Tom Chris has given me about 30 minutes, so I'm going to crank through these. And I want you to ask yourself, how many of these principles do you practice, do you embody, or do you aspire to practice and embody? Right now, our world needs great leaders. Our countries need great leaders. Our cities need great leaders. Our communities need great leaders. Our businesses, our startups need great leaders to really look and find the opportunities that are out there right now. Our communities need great leaders. Our families need great leaders. And most especially, we need to learn to lead ourselves, especially during these challenging times. So let's go to principle one. Principle one of a great leader is they're a calm champion. A calm champion. Now, what do I mean by calm champion? Well, first of all, they follow this rule of leadership success. It's the 80-20 rule. Now, I just asked you all, what are some qualities of a great leader? We had vision, we had empathy, we had determination, we had decisiveness. We had all of those qualities. That's because leadership success, whether you're leading yourself or others, follows this principle. Success in life, success in your startup, success in your schools, success in your education, success in relationships, success in anything is 80% your state. And your state is comprised of three things. Your mindset, which is your focus. If you're determined and you have a vision and you really have a lot of empathy, as the three people that just shared, that's where your focus is. Your game has changed. You may have a great plan or a great business, but this focus of determination, you know, I always say defeat is giving up or never starting. And so if you're determined and you really care about your team, you have that empathy. If you want to go fast, go by yourself, go alone. If you want to go far, go as a team. And leading a team requires empathy. And focus on really just that grit and that determination to get something done and a vision. Think if you focus on those three things, how much farther you'll get. And the other element is psychology, your language. What kind of language do you use? Oh my God, things are terrible. Or, oh, we will find a way. Great leaders are really thoughtful about their language because the person they're talking to most of the time is themselves. And every word you say or hear, imprints in your mind and imprints in the minds of those you speak to. And great leaders keep their energy up in their body. That's why I started us with dancing, because with dancing, we really feel our body. We move the energy in our body. Those three things make up your state. Your emotional state, which leads everything. And only 20% of success is your strategy. How to do something. Your business plan, your marketing plan, your startup plan. Oh my gosh, I teach so many entrepreneurs and I teach pitch practice and I teach people about their strategies for their business, their strategies for their wealth. And it goes back to their state. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you are right. So take a moment and think where you spend most of your time right now. Your state. I'm going to stop my share for a moment. Your state, your emotional state drives everything. So, you know, whenever you want to go somewhere, right? Most people, if you're driving your car, you're walking somewhere, you need to know where you go. Well, most people plug in a destination in their cell phone, right? They plug in a destination, you plug it in your cell phone, and then your cell phone, you follow the maps in your phone and it takes you there. Pretty straightforward. But what people don't know, the secret that most people don't realize is in your brain, in this brain of yours, your brain is filled with maps that will lead you to success or lead you to failure. Because every word you say or hear, every thought you have, every experience you have imprints in your mind and tells you what's good or bad, right or wrong, safe or dangerous, risky or not. And being an entrepreneur, man, you know, you've got to be willing to take risks and change and pivot and be flexible. And all of those things are mindset. Because the greatest business plan without the leader with the great mindset, you got nothing. You've got nothing. I have sat through pitch contests. I have helped people pitching, and you get a lot of these entrepreneurs up and they go, I have the next great business idea and I will inspire you to greatness. I'm like, tell your face that you're excited. Tell your face, be excited. If you think you have something great, shout it out to the world, because your energy, you communicate only 7% with your words. 7% are your words. 93% are your body, your tone, your energy, your physiology. It goes back to here. Your focus is what's going on in your head that anybody can't see, but where you focus on will be your language and your energy. But this energy piece at the bottom here, that will communicate to others more than anything. And more importantly, this energy and body piece and this mindset piece communicates to you. Let me just share this one more time, just so you can see it again. This is it, the mindset piece, the body piece, the language piece. What's going on in your head? What's going on in your body? That's going to communicate more than the words that you say. This piece. So screenshot this piece right now. This is what you need to focus on 80% of your time. 80%. Now, strategy is really important. Strategy is important. You need a good business plan. You need a good marketing plan. But I'll tell you something, early in Silicon Valley, so many people would say, I would rather invest with a person with a grade A mindset, determination, decisiveness, empathy, with a vision, with only a so-so B idea, than a person with a great idea, a great business plan, but no energy, no state, no emotion. And you say, God, how does that work? Well, let me show you a couple quick examples. Can you see this? This is a pet rock. This is a pet rock. A pet rock. It is literally inside this package is a rock. It's a rock in a box, a rock in a box. Could you imagine saying, I'm going to start a business with a rock in a box? Now you laugh, you can go on Amazon right now and buy these. In the 1970s, there was a guy named Gary Dahl who made this up, and he made millions of dollars, because all business is marketing and innovation. It's mindset. It's coming up with something new and innovative and marketing it. A pet rock made millions of dollars. And you say to me, Gina, that's just a crazy idea. That was just a fluke. Go on Amazon. I double dog dare you to check. Well, more recently, on Kickstarter a couple of years ago, when Kickstarter started, there was a card game that went on there, Exploding Kittens. Exploding Kittens. It's not even tech. It's just cards. Can I get this thing open? It is just a card game. There is no technology. There's no software. It's about exploding kittens. Let me, finally got it open. It's 2 decks of cards. See this? And a little musical thing. It's ridiculous. It's a card game. These people sought to raise $10,000 for this card game. It's about exploding kittens, goats, and laser beams. Okay, we wonder what they were smoking to come up with this idea. But they were so crazy and so fun with these. Guess how much they raised? I don't know if you can put it in the chat here. I'm looking at the chat, but I'll tell you, not $1 million, not 10,000, not 500, not $1 million, $8.7 million for a card game about exploding kittens, laser beams, and goats. For the longest time, they raised the most money on the Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign. So the next time you tell yourself, oh, I don't think I have a good idea, I'm not sure. Think about pet rocks, pet friggin' rocks, and kitten and card games. Anybody can make money with the idea. It's your mindset. It's the ability to innovate and market that will make all the difference in the world. All right, let me share my screen again. Get back to this. And I want you to think about this. Think about the teams that are out there. This is a huddle of a girls' basketball team. Now, you've seen many sports teams. They get up and they huddle up. What do? They rev it up. They have a cheer. They get their mindset. They get together as a team. They rock out, whatever it is. They are building up the energy and building up the mindset of resilience, of grit, of energy. They get there and they huddle up, and then they go out and play the game. Well, right there, they're not talking about their plays for the day. They're not talking about the strategy that they learned yesterday. They're not talking about who's going to move the ball where. They're pumping up their mindset, their energy, their focus as a team, their energy in their body. They're revving it up, just similar to what we did by dancing. And they're talking to each other. They're using language that really connects them with the team as a team, that they got each other. They're using their whole body here. Now think about it. How many of you start your day with your teams revving up your body and dancing? I got to tell you, at Silicon Valley, where I've taught many courses, I set up a thing where a bell rings a couple times a day and everybody gets up and they dance. They move, because as you move, the energy goes back into your mind. And your physiology, your body is so important. Your body is so, so important that you've got to move it. And drinking water, drink water. Cheers to life. Even mild dehydration affects your brain cells, affects your brain power. So drinking water, moving your body, they say eat healthy. Well, yes, you're fueling this engine that will lead you to greatness. You're fueling this engine so that in stressful times, you can make better decisions. And I want to talk for a moment right now about stressful times, because we all have them right now, right? So this is our team, but take a look at this. When you are stressed, and I can't tell you, I actually just taught a big course for a bunch of companies in Nigeria. And I taught a course the other day to a big corporation in the United States, very successful, but a lot of people are stressed. A lot of people are stressed. And I want to tell you right now what happens to your body on stress. When you're stressed, you activate this lower part of your brain, the part here that is in red. That is your stress brain. And all that brain knows how to do is protect you. So when you're stressed, whether you're stressed because a saber-toothed tiger is attacking you, or you're not sure if you're going to pay your bills next week, the same thing happens. And when your stress brain is activated, you actually really only have three choices. The first one is to fight, get angry, blame someone, just blame yourself, or to flee. Put your head under the covers, play video games, pretend it's not happening, or just freeze and give up. I just give up. I totally give up. So you fight, you flee, or you freeze. And it actually, when you're stressed, you suppress what's called this higher thinking brain, this yellow brain. That's your higher thinking brain. That's where you can make decisions. That's what you activate when you're in a calm state. That's what you activate when life is good, you're peaceful and you calm. This higher thinking brain, your prefrontal cortex is this higher thinking brain. And every single time you're stressed, you're building the muscle in this red brain, and it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger instead of activating your higher thinking brain, this calm brain, where actually the ancient Vedic sages said your mid prefrontal cortex, which is right here near the front, that's where your seat of enlightenment is. That's where your great ideas comes. That's where your great innovations come. That's where you see opportunities where there are challenges. This is where you want to be, in this yellow brain. And you want to build this muscle. You want to build this muscle in calm, and you say to yourself, well, Gina, how do I do this? Life is friggin' stressful right now. I mean, I could teach you a whole course on this. So in addition to teaching entrepreneurship and leadership on Richard Branson's island, I've taught for Deepak Chopra. He's an international doctor on mind-body wisdom. And here, I'm going to give you one tip right now. One tip that when you find yourself stressed, and if you practice this several times a day, your body will get used to it. Are you ready? Here we go. Everybody with me right now, I just want you to take a gentle, deep, slow inhale. Ready? Inhale. Hold it for 2 seconds, and then exhale as slowly as you can. Let's do that 3 times together. Inhale slowly and deeply. Hold it for 2 seconds. Exhale, so slowly exhale. One more time, inhale. Exhale slowly. Inhale. Hold it 2 seconds and exhale. Now notice how you feel. Most people, when I go through 3, they're called conscious breaths, notice a difference in their body. Notice a difference in their mind. Notice a difference in their whole state. 3 easy breaths. It changes the state, and what it does, there have been brain scans and MRIs and things, all these wires hooked up to people's brains, and they watch as you take those 3 conscious breaths, they watch this lower stress brain deactivate, and you activate your higher thinking brain. My husband's a high school teacher. He teaches history in high schools. He is the non-entrepreneur. If he had his way, he would teach every child, every teenager in the world history and how it impacts the future, and he would reverse climate change. But one thing he does with his students is he teaches them these 3 conscious breaths. And if they do that before they take a test, before they tackle a project, the game changes because they activate the information, the thought processes, the higher thinking going on here, the creativity in their brains. Imagine doing that with your team every morning. I taught in South Africa a couple of years ago at the Maharishi Institute. It's an institute that was originally founded by the Branson Center for Entrepreneurship. And they bring all of these, and many of you may be aware, in South Africa, 75% of youth ages 18 to 25 are unemployed. And they bring young adults into this program to learn, to finish high school, and not only that, to get a college degree and get great jobs. And the first thing they do when they come in the morning is they do some mindfulness and a little bit of yoga to move their body, breathing, because think about all the people that come into that school, or think about the people that come into your companies or your families. It brings everyone together and evens out the energy, gives everyone a moment of and allows their minds and bodies to arrive and connect with where they're at. So I really highly suggest that. So when you notice the calm, you have total control over your state. We can say, oh, somebody else made you feel this way. Somebody else did this to you and it really stressed you out. Yes, but know this. You cannot control situations or people. What you can control is your reaction. You can control your reaction. 3 conscious breaths change the game. You can control your energy by moving and by dancing. You can change your state. Have it handy. I'll share something about myself with you. 4 weeks ago, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. 10 days ago, I had breast cancer surgery. And my mission to teach people and to lead people to have a better, beautiful life and to lead themselves and others is so important to me that I've already taught 3 or 4 sessions since my surgery to different companies and different organizations. And I have a program called Dare to Be Wealthy, where you learn about your own worth as an individual and you master your money and your wealth. But it's so important to me that I'm managing my state right now. And when I taught in Nigeria online the other day, I was up from 2 a.m. in the morning to 7 a.m., 5 hours in the middle of the night, like a week after my surgery, because it's so important to me to lead you, to lead yourself and others. And it's my joy and my meaning, creates meaning in my life. So you can do this too. You just need to be aware. You can't control what happens, but you can control your reaction. Let me get back to sharing my screen here. So take a screenshot of this, and at the end, I'll give you a way to get a copy of these slides. But just remember that. Ask yourself in any situation, am I acting from my red stress brain or my yellow calm brain? Yes, and if you look at the calm brain, this part where the arrow's pointing is your mid-prefrontal cortex. It's really the seat of enlightenment, the seat of enlightenment. Think about it. Ancient Vedic sages have all this wisdom. It's because they know how to be calm and think clearly. And we can all use a little bit of that. So remember the champion, the calm champion, principle 1. Focuses on this before anything else. Do you think Richard Branson knows how to all the marketing plans and the business plans from the hundreds of companies he started? No, he finds people that can lead those companies and get it done. He is the calm champion that knows how to excite people up, how to lead them. All right, principle 2, competence. Competence, okay, competence is like your 20%. People think that's leadership. That's being a boss rather than a leader. You may know how to get it done, but you are only competent, but not a leader. That's bottom level. People think character is the highest level of leadership. Yeah, you walk your talk, you know how to do things, you are honest, you have integrity, but it's not the highest level of leadership. The next level of leadership is conscious leadership, which is important. Not the highest level, but you're conscious. If you look at this orange line here, this orange line here is business, your business. If you're a conscious leader, you're very aware of not only what's happening with your business, but your customers, your industry, the economy, the government, and the world. A conscious leader expands out and really knows and is aware of what's going on and knows that your business is not the center of the universe, that your leadership is more than just you and your business. And then they're aware of going on in the world and they're anticipating the next moves and knows that the future is faster than you think and they're aware of it. Okay, highest level of leadership is connection. That empathy that someone mentioned at the beginning of the call, that's it. That's the ability to connect with people. Remember this, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. You know, that takes listening, paying attention, actually care about people, care about you. Think about the leaders in your life. Why do you go to them? Because they get you. They get you, and they're your go-to people. It's not always the founder, the boss, the CEO. There's someone else in companies. But think about our world now. We are on our cell phones most of the time, and we rarely look up. We rarely look up. Stop that. Connect with people. And the first person to connect with is yourself and noticing your state. Are you stressed or are you calm? Here is one of my favorite quotes, and I'll just say it's my quote. You don't choose to be a leader. People choose you. People choose you. You may say I'm the boss. You may say you're a leader, but you don't declare you're a leader. People choose you. People choose you. Remember, people choose you. Who do you choose? Who do you choose and who chooses you? The leaders that are chosen are the ones that have that moment to connect, that will sit and listen and show genuine care for their team. They'll know what's going on in their lives. They'll know what's going on in the world. They're there to give them advice and counsel and love and wisdom. They care about the future of everyone on their team. They're not just friggin' stressed about the marketing plan and the business plan, and those are important too. But when you have a whole team of people that care about each other, that have that vision going forward, well, that's when miracles and magic happens. So I say to you now, I've given you one tool, just one of so many tools to calm your mind, to lead. Let's do a quick, let's talk for a moment about what will happen when you use these tools, when you think about these principles, when you think about them, you will become a breakthrough leader. Just like this woman breaking through this board. This is one session I taught where we used a metaphor, and Tom Chris knows about what happened years ago when I was in an event, but that's a breakthrough. That's when you're gonna break through all those barriers of stress, of worry, of concern, and see the world as it is, and know that this pandemic is not gonna last forever. It's not gonna last forever. It will end, and you need to break through to your champion, calm champion. So these were the 5 principles: calm champion, competence, yes, low level of leadership, but important, you have to know what to do. Character, you walk your talk. Conscious, you know that your business is not the center of the universe, but connection is the most important piece of all of this. Piece of all of us. And when you're stressed and you're feeling overwhelm or anxiety, 3 conscious breaths. So I'm Gina Clothes. If you want these slides, take a picture of this, email info@ginaclothes.com, put in the subject line SEW slides. I'll give you a minute to copy that. I'll get you these slides. This is how you can reach me. That's my email. That's my website. And if you want to join our group where I share all kinds of crazy things and fun things and leadership things and wealth things, join Magical Moments with Gina on Facebook. And I'm there, and I have a special offer for you. And I'm going to give something to Tom Chris to give to a few of you. My program, Dare to Be Wealthy, will be starting November 6th. It's 6 sessions. You can sign up at ginaclothes.com. And this is where we talk about your wealth and your worth, knowing your worth on who you are as a leader beyond money and mastering your wealth. And there's a coupon there, Wealth 19. You can take a picture of that as well. And really, there's a calm champion in all of you. 3 conscious breaths, and you'll remember the leader in you and leading yourself first by dancing, by music, by breathing. It'll change the game for you. It will change the game for you. Tom Chris, I'm also going to give you the opportunity. Reach out to Tom Chris, and I'm going to let him pick 2 people. All right, let's say 3 people that he could give a scholarship to do to my Dare to Be Wealthy course. 3 worthy people, Tom Chris, you get to pick that can do to my Dare to Be Wealthy course.
Yes.
Yes. And
yes.
You know, wake up in the morning. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Now imagine another way to activate the energy in your body. Tom Chris, stand up now. Remember, we did this on Quasi TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ready. So now I'm gonna spotlight Tom for a moment. Watch this. Tom Chris.
Yes,
1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Yes. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, Mohammed, get up. Maria, stand up. All of you people who are not, everybody stand up. Okay, I see so many of you. Babs, Ishmael, Maria, Mohammed, Tom Chris, get up again. All of you people that don't have your videos on, I double dog dare you to stand up. Stand up, and on 3, I want you to see how it feels in your body when your mind is saying, oh no, 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 I can't do that. It's too scary. I'm too stressed. I'm too overwhelmed, blah, 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 blah. Do this. 1, 2, 3. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Feel how that feels. That's right. It's activating the energy in your body. You can do it by saying yes. You can play music. And one thing I do in the morning is I have my morning jams music. And with that music, it activates the energy in my body from when I get going. I got up at 6 a.m. this morning. I'm moving my body. It sets me up to win. I also meditate every day. I said, even if you only have 2 minutes, you can go to my YouTube channel. There are some meditations. When you join my Magical Moments with Gina group, I go on there and I give you all kinds of little mini 1-minute meditations. You know, let me share that again with you. Those where you can be part of that. Let's see, that's for the slides. Down at the bottom, Magical Moments with Gina. I get on there live, I post videos, I do all this just for you, people like you to really understand and appreciate the value of your state. So that's it for me today. What a joy to be with you all. Tom, Chris, any final words before I sign off?
Yes!
Yes! Come on! All right. Energy, 80% of your success, mindset, focus, language, physical body, energy. Wow, it's been such a joy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You've been an amazing inspiration to me personally. And I've shared this story over and over because when we met, the first time we met in 2016, I suppose, the training that you conducted actually shifted my thinking, my mindset.
Yes.
And I credit a lot of what we're doing also to you because, of course, as you said, success is 80% mindset and only 20% of strategy. And having the mindset of always will find a way has been what brought me this far. And
yes,
so thankful to you. And thank you again for joining us for this session. It's really inspiring to me because, of course, having people that believe in you is so important. You know, it's so important having people that believe in you. You've believed in us and you've served us so much. You've given us of your time, of your talent, and your skill. And yes!
Yes! Well, I'm delighted to be here. Yes, yes, Mohammed, yes! Come on. I just want you all to know that I'm praying for you all. God bless you. God bless you all. I know that these are very challenging times, but I know that each of you has that calm champion within you. The first person to lead is yourself. So some of you say, well, I'm not a leader. Yes, you are. Newsflash. You lead yourself first every day. And in that beautiful energy that you can swirl around, it will swirl around and land on people. Don't let your stress swirl around and land on people. Let your joy, your calm, your champion, your vision, your empathy, your decisiveness swirl and land. And you know, you don't always have to have the answers, but just telling people that you're there with them and you will figure it out will help calm people's stressed brain. So Tom, Chris, I'm so excited. You guys can reach out to, you know, Student Entrepreneurship Week and SFAN, and Tom Chris is the man. He's an incredible leader. I will let him choose 2 scholarships to the Dare to Be Wealthy program where you will know your worth, and you're all worth so much beyond your money. And God bless you. I'm praying for you. I love you. I will see you next time. Mwah!
Thank you so much. At this point, we'll be going over to another wonderful person who I've known for a while now, Babs, but she likes to be called Araba these days. So she'll be coming up to take us through another inspiring session, 30 minutes of mind hack. And I'm not gonna say so much. You already have a profile, you can go read it, but Babs, over to you.
Hello. Thank you so much, Tom Chris. Hi. Hello, everyone. And I'm so excited to be joining you today to talk a little bit about mental health and finding your purpose.
Just saying that I've made you a co-host so you can actually spotlight yourself fully.
Okay. Let's see if I can figure out how to do that. Let's see. Where do I do that? Okay, you've done it. Thank you. Hello. Okay, so yeah, Tom Chris gave me a brief intro. I'm Araba Ofori, and I am a holistic healer and well-being coach. And I'm really excited to be here. I think this is my third SFAN event in a row. So
yes,
it's really
absolutely,
lovely.
yes.
Yeah, so it's lovely to be back again. Albeit in a different mode this time. So I'm glad to see that we've managed to still find a way to all come together in these times. I think it's really important. Okay, so today's session is going to run in kind of 3 sections. So first, I'm going to start with a meditation that I'd like to lead you through. Gina before me was talking about the importance of getting ourselves into the correct state for the work that we're going to do. So I'm going to be leading you through a nice calming meditation so that your mind is clear and you're able to focus and reach into your subconscious for answers. So we'll do that first. Then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the link between mental health and purpose. And then we're going to move into more of a workshop style session where I'll be working with you to create your own purpose statements. And I'll come on to what that exactly means later on. All right, so let's get started with the meditation. So I want you to find yourself in a comfortable position. You could be sitting on the floor, you can be sitting in a chair. If you're sitting in a chair, make sure that your feet are firmly on the ground and that your back is nice and straight. If you're sitting on the floor, you might want to sit cross-legged. Again, make sure your back is straight. And then relax your shoulders. You may want to kind of roll out your neck a little bit so you can make sure that your head and your neck are relaxed. And then close your eyes. And just start to deepen your breathing. So taking nice, long, deep inhales through the nose and nice, long, deep exhales also through the nose. Now, as you breathe, make sure that you're breathing into your abdomen. So on the inhale, your belly rises, and on the exhale, it falls, rather than breathing into your chest. You want to be breathing into your belly. Now bring your focus to the point in between your eyebrows. So your eyes are still closed, but you're just bringing all of your awareness to this point, giving you a focal point throughout the meditation. Now we're going to practice something called square breathing, where we'll breathe in for 4 counts, we'll hold the breath for 4 counts, we'll breathe out for 4 counts, and then hold the breath out for 4 counts, and we will repeat that. So getting ready by taking a deep breath in and then a deep breath out. And inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath, 1, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the breath. We're holding it for a little bit longer this time. As you hold the breath, make sure you're keeping your body relaxed. You're just holding the breath in. And as you continue holding the breath in, think about what you want to release on the exhale. Maybe you want to release stress, tension, worry, negativity. Holding just for a few more breaths, decide what it is that you want to release. We're nearly there. Just holding for a few more deep breaths. And exhale, sigh it all out. And see yourself letting go of whatever it is you said you wanted to release. Letting go of negativity, letting go of stress, letting go of tension, letting go of worry, letting go of fear. And then breathe normally. Keep your focus on your third eye, the point in between your eyebrows. Keeping your body nice and relaxed. And as you breathe here, you just let go of something or multiple things. Maybe it was stress, maybe it was worry, maybe it was fear. Now just take a moment to think about what you want to invite to take its place. Maybe you want to invite love, abundance, success, joy, community. Whatever it is, just think about it for a few moments and repeat those words in your head like a mantra. As you continue to breathe, keeping your body relaxed, just repeat those words to yourself. What are you attracting to yourself? And know that whatever words you repeated, those things are coming to you. Trust in them, remind yourself often, and they will surely come. Now just start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, move your shoulders around, waking your body up. Take a deep inhale breath. And as you exhale, drop your chin down towards your chest. Then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay, welcome back. How are you feeling? Drop me a message in the chat to let me know how you're feeling after that meditation. Or if you like, you can unmute yourself and share how you're feeling.
Super awesome. Restored back to positivity, free of worries.
Wonderful. Nice. Thank you, Mohammed. Great. Free of worry. We like that. Lighter, free. Beautiful. Anyone else? How are you feeling? Anybody else want to share how you're feeling after that meditation? Maybe you're also relaxed that your fingers can't type. Relaxed, Israel, thank you. Great. Okay, so now that we are all in a calm, relaxed, focused state of mind, we can move on to the work that we're here to do today. So, purpose. This is a word that I think we use often, but we often have some certain attachments to what it means. Sometimes it can sound very big and scary, especially if you think you don't know what your purpose is. But purpose is also another way of saying meaning. And that doesn't have to be something big. It doesn't have to be the meaning of your whole life. It can just be how you find meaning day to day. So when it comes to our mental health and well-being, there are many, many things that affect it. There are many things that we can do to help look after our mental health and to aid positive mental health and well-being. So some of those things are, for example, making sure that we have a sense of belonging. That has been seen to be a really big marker for our mental health, having a sense of belonging. So that can come from being in a tight-knit community. It can come from being in a loving family, a loving relationship. All of those things bring sense of belonging, which helps us to have good mental health. Another thing that affects our mental health is our physical health. So eating well, exercising, making sure that we don't have any physical ailments that we're not attending to, all of these things help to boost our mental health. So another thing that has been seen to have a link with mental health is purpose or meaning. When we feel like we have a purpose in life, we have a meaning, we have a drive that is helping us to wake up every day, that's helping us to work through the challenges, it makes us more resilient, it makes us feel more confident, and it generally improves our mental health. It boosts our mood because we have a goal that we're working towards and we know the why behind what we're doing. When we are in a space where we feel like we're working Working hard, but there's no meaning behind it. What's the meaning of what we're doing? We have no purpose. We're just working, maybe making some money, getting tired, going to sleep, waking up, doing the same thing again. When we feel that there's no meaning or purpose behind it, it can have a really detrimental effect on our mental health. We can start to feel hopeless. We can start to feel like what we're doing makes no difference. We can start to feel like our life doesn't really matter. So we really want to combat against those things by making sure that we are connected to our purpose, to our meaning. So that's the importance of purpose. Now I want to talk to you about what it actually means. So a lot of the time when people talk about purpose, they're talking about what's your life's purpose? Why were you put on this planet? But I'm sorry to tell you that the only way you can answer that question really is at the end of your life, because how else can you know? If you haven't got to the end of your life, how can you know what the whole point of your life was? So when we are going through our careers, our personal growth, all of this thing, it's important that we don't focus on life's purpose, because that's a very big question. And it's one that sometimes can make us feel like we don't have things figured out and that we're doing something wrong if we don't know what our life's purpose is. So instead of talking about life's purpose, I like to talk to my clients about your soul's purpose. What does that mean? Your soul's purpose is what your soul, your inner soul, is calling you to do at this moment. At this moment. So that means that it could change in a week, a month, a year, 3 years. It's not something that is fixed. It's something that changes as your values and your experiences change. So your soul's purpose is what you want to connect to, and you want to do that regularly. Your soul's purpose will tell you what your why is. So maybe you have a particular job, maybe you're running a business, maybe you're running multiple businesses. All of those have a different function, but behind all of them is your why, your purpose. So it might be that you run an educational company, and then maybe you also run a library. The purpose behind those things isn't just that you want to run that kind of business. The purpose behind it is probably that you are committed to supporting children in their education. Or it could be that you're committed to supporting adults in their education. So as you can see, there's a reason behind the acts that we're doing, and that's what we want to get to. So for me, a really useful way to connect to my soul's purpose is to come up with a purpose statement. A purpose statement. So I will tell you my purpose statement right now. My purpose statement is, I am here to help Africans and diasporans find well-being and realize their own unique potential. That's my soul's purpose right now. So that's why I'm here talking to you all about this today, because I want you to be able to find well-being, but I also want you to all realize how amazing you all are and how much potential you have to make a change. So that's an example of a purpose statement. You might be asking yourself, oh, I don't know what my purpose statement would be, or I think I can think of one, but actually I think I have 5 different purpose statements. So don't worry, we're going to go through how you can come up with your own personal purpose statement. So when you're coming up with your purpose, it's important to note that you might not be doing the exact work that fits with your purpose right this moment. So for example, maybe you work in a shopping center, you work in a mall, and you're doing that because it's a particular job or it's a stepping stone, but it's not aligned with your purpose. That's fine. Your purpose doesn't have to relate to what you're doing exactly at this moment. It's also a marker of what you want to work towards. So there are 3 different things you want to think about to come up with your purpose statement. I hope you've got your pens and paper at the ready. So the first thing is your work. So when I say your work, I don't just mean your job. I mean the work that you do. So for many of us, this will include, of course, our job. So you can write down what it is that you do as a job, what kind of company you work for, what kind of industry you're in, but also what other work do you do? Maybe write articles outside of your working time. Maybe you also have a side hustle. Maybe you're working on a business plan. So all of these things come under your work. What does your work look like? So just take a moment to jot down a few bullet points under work. So you might have things like education industry. You might have food industry, agriculture, or it might be about the specific type of work you do, programming, development, writing. Just take a moment to write a few bullet points under the heading work. Okay, so after you've thought about work, the next thing to think about is your passions. What are you passionate about? If you're really lucky, it will be the same things that you had under the work heading, but for a lot of us, that doesn't align straight away. So what are your passions? And it's not just passions in terms of interests, but it's also maybe you're passionate about people understanding gender issues. Maybe you're passionate about a particular sport. Maybe you're passionate about your hobbies. What do you like to do in your spare time? Is it music, reading, writing poetry? So just take a few moments and ask yourself, what am I passionate about? Any answers that come up, just jot them down. Okay, so we've talked about work and we've talked about passion. The final thing is causes. Causes, what kind of causes do you support, or what kind of causes are you interested in? So this could be things like community development. It could be gender equality. It could be LGBTQ rights. It could be literacy. It could be digital literacy. What causes are you passionate about? What causes do you want to make a difference for? Just take a moment to write those down. And remember, it's not just every cause that you care about a little bit, because otherwise you could end up writing a really long list, because there's so many causes that we are supposed to care about. But it's those ones that really, really connect with you, that you feel called to do something about. So for example, if I were writing this, it would be health and well-being, but also the cause of helping Africans and diasporans connect with each other, but also helping to promote us in the wider world. So what causes are you passionate about? Okay, so you've written down the work that you do. You've written down what you're passionate about, and you've written about the causes that are close to your heart. From looking at these, see if you can decipher any common themes or any things that really stand out as something that you feel called to make a difference about. So let me give you a made-up example. So we have someone, let's call her Amma. So Amma currently works at a tech company. She works as a personal assistant there. And she is really passionate about tech. She's passionate about how much tech can improve our lives. And she's really passionate about being able to create things just from learning how to code, being able to create an app, being able to create a website. She doesn't do that in her job at the moment. She's a personal assistant, but she is in the tech industry. So she feels like she's getting to learn a little bit more about that side of things. The causes that are close to her heart are making tech and digital accessible to people in rural areas. So she hasn't done anything in this space yet, but she's really interested in going back to her local village and to the surrounding villages and doing classes, teaching the people there how to use computers, teaching them how to use the internet. That's what she's really passionate about. So as you can see, Amma is not currently doing a job that would align with her purpose necessarily, but when you look at her work, you look at her passions, and you look at the causes that she cares about, you can kind of pull out what a purpose statement might look like. So for Ama, I would create a purpose statement, something a little bit like this. My purpose is to make tech and digital accessible to everyone. To make tech and digital accessible to everyone. So with that purpose statement, what Ama can do is she can start to look at how she wants her career to go so that she can be more aligned with that purpose statement. But also it will help her to decide how to spend her spare time, what kind of volunteering she'll do, what kind of articles she might write to publish on her blog. That purpose statement will be something that helps as a guiding light for her as she goes through her career. So I'm hoping that some of you have come up with your own personal purpose statement, having looked at your work, your passions, and the causes that you care about. So I would now like to ask the group, would anyone like to share their purpose statement? And I might have to pick on people if no one volunteers one. Tom, Chris, how about you? I'm sure you do have a purpose statement already. Is Tom Chris still here?
Oh, yes, I am here.
Yes.
Thank
Would you like to
yeah.
share with us a purpose statement?
Absolutely. So my purpose statement is to unlock the potential of young people by providing them access to skills and opportunities that can help them turn their passions into businesses and flourishing careers.
Beautiful. And I think we can all agree that Tom Chris is definitely living in his purpose. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Would anyone else like to share their purpose statement?
Yeah, I think I want to share mine.
Great, go ahead.
So my purpose statement is to motivate people and lead them to accomplishment through my motivating ways and actionable ways.
Beautiful. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. That's a really wonderful purpose. And I wish you all the best with that. And I'm looking forward to seeing what more you do with it. Okay, anybody else? Would you like to share your purpose statement? Oh, come on, guys. You should be excited to tell us what your purpose is. We're all excited to hear it. Anyone else? Let's get one more person. And then I just want to talk to you a little bit about how to use this statement. Last person. Oh, we have a shy group this time, huh? Ishmael, do you feel like sharing your purpose with us? No? Okay, no problem. So I guess maybe some of you are still working on your purpose statements, and it can be something that takes a little bit of time, especially if you do multiple different things, because you want to see what the common thread is behind those things. And I'm sure you will find one. So just take a few moments to think about that maybe after today. And once you come up with that purpose statement, this is how you can use it. So as you go forward in your careers, in your lives, a lot of opportunities are going to come your way. And having a purpose statement helps you to decide what is in line with your purpose and what is not. So let's take Tom Chris as an example. I'm sure Tom Chris gets invited to speak at different events, maybe gets invited to attend different conferences. And with all these different invitations, he needs to have a good way of deciding what to say yes to and what to say no to. So with his purpose statement, he can always ask himself, okay, does this speaking opportunity fit with my purpose? Let's say he's invited to speak at a conference about adult learning in agriculture. And that's something that might not quite fit with his purpose, so he may choose to turn it down. Whereas when someone invites him to speak on how students can access funding for their startups, that's definitely something that fits with his purpose. So it just makes that decision making a little bit easier so that you can really keep your time and your energy focused on your purpose and make maximum impact without burning out. So your purpose statement is like your guiding light when you're making decisions about speaking opportunities, jobs, who to work with in terms of partners. Does their purpose align with yours? So it's a really, really good thing to keep hold of. And then aside from that, you want to also make sure that your everyday life is in alignment with your purpose. So what does that mean? It means even when you are not at work or working on your business, you should still be living in alignment with your purpose. So for example, myself, with my purpose being focused on well-being and helping people realize their potential, that means that I also have to do those things for myself. I have to look after my well-being. I have to make sure that I'm continually working on my own self-esteem and making sure that I don't allow negative self-talk to dampen my spirits. Because how can I go about helping other people to realize their potential if I can't realize my own? It also means just in everyday life, I have to make well-being a priority so that when I'm speaking to my clients about things like nutrition, exercise, looking after your mental health, those are all things that I experience on a day-to-day basis as well. So once you have created your purpose statement, you might want to also take a look at your daily routines and ask yourself, am I living in my purpose? Am I living in my purpose? The answer might be a big yes, but there might be some areas that you decide to change. So for example, Mohammed, your purpose is all about helping to motivate people. So let's take an Instagram feed as an example. You might look at your Instagram feed and say, oh, actually, this isn't very motivating. I'm actually sharing a lot of news about COVID-19 or something. I'm sure you're not. But you might look at your feed and say, I don't think this is in line with my purpose. And then you would speak to yourself and decide how you want to change that. So maybe your Instagram feed has a lot of news or a lot of things that make people scared, or lots of pictures of food, whatever it might be. And then you decide to change it so that it has a little bit more of your life story. It has a little bit more of quotes from different people. It has a little bit more of that oomph to motivate people. Maybe you even start doing a weekly Monday motivation post or something like that. So that's another way of looking at how your life can live more in alignment with your purpose. So those are the things that I wanted to share with you. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to wrap up very quickly. But just to do a quick summary, the first thing was just a reminder that having a purpose and having meaning is hugely important in our mental health. But you don't have to have your whole life's purpose figured out. You just need to know your purpose for right now. It could be as short term as my purpose for the rest of 2020. That's all you need to know, and that's fine. Once you get to the end of 2020, then maybe you'll have a different purpose, and that's also fine. And then the second thing is to create your purpose statement. Create your purpose statement by looking at your work, looking at your passions, and looking at the causes that you care about. Then finally, once you have your purpose statement, make sure that you are living in alignment with that purpose in the everyday, not just when you are at work or working on your business. Your life has to reflect your purpose. That's how you will make the maximum impact. And I think that's all I have time for. So thank you so much for joining me. I really hope that was helpful. You can find me on Instagram. I'm at araba.ofori. If you'd like to send me your purpose statement on Instagram, I'd be really happy to read it. So please feel free to send me a DM. And with that, I will leave you and wish you all the best for the rest of today. And I'm really excited to see what you all do as a result of this wonderful conference put together by SBAN. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Barbara. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. It's always a pleasure to have you in our meetings. And like you said, this has been the third time in a row, like we had you at the career fair, and then at the Student and Leadership Week Pan Africa, and now here. So it's been We're always having you. We learn a lot, we get inspired. Thanks a lot for what you do. And we pray that you continually receive a multiplied harvest of your gifts that you're sharing.
Thank you.
A lot.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a nice one.
You too. Bye.
Thank you. And up next, we'll have Collins from the IOM. Collins will be talking to us about youth and migration. And I'm going to bring him up in a second. Collins, can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you, Tom.
Excellent, excellent. So you have the floor.
All right. Thank you very much. Let me try, and then I hope you can see me now.
Yes, we can.
Yes, and then I want to share my screen as well. Okay, sorry, 1, 2. Okay, thanks a lot. We have been doing a lot of things here. So guys, I'm Collins. I'm going to talk about safe migration. Can you see my screen now? Tom, can you see my screen now?
Yes, it's showing perfectly well.
All right. So thank you very much, and thanks a lot for the speakers. So my name is Collins Yeboah. I work with the International Organization for Migration, but I have only 30 minutes, so let me go straight up. So today, my focus, the main thing I'm going to do today is to talk about migration and youth. And then I'm going to give you a bit about who a migrant is. And then there's always the issue with illegality and irregularity. So today we will have, maybe we will talk about who an irregular migrant is and the need for us to also change narratives, to change things about how we associate people who use irregular means to travel. They can't be called illegal because illegal entity doesn't exist. Illegality cannot be associated with humanity. So we try to be more humane and try to use the term irregular because we know the behavior of the youth, the behavior of people can be regularized. So if you're able to regularize it, then we can have regular migration instead of irregular migration. So basically, somebody will ask who a migrant is. These are some of the basics to usher us into the whole thing. So a migrant is anyone who is moving or has moved across an international border or within a state. So it could be an internal migrant or internal migration that is within the within the same country. You move from one area to the other. So that's why we have names like irregular, rural urban migration, people moving from rural areas to urban areas. And then we have urban moving from one city to another. And then we have the international migrants to international migration, that is across international border. So the states moving within the state, and regardless of the person's legal status, regardless of whether the movement is voluntary or involuntary, because it could be that they have to move at all costs. It could be that they don't have to move, but they want to use means to get there. And then it's regardless of the causes of the movement. So we are not talking about all these things, what the length of the stay is, nothing, but we are talking about the person involved. And then under the UN Declaration of Human Rights, everyone has the right to freedom of movement and residence within the borders of each state. Everyone has the right to live in a country, including his own, but the receiving countries, so we have the originating country and then the receiving countries. The receiving countries, they also have laws. They have rules governing the entry, that's immigration and then emigration. So though we have the fundamental human right to move, to go anywhere we want, but we are also being guided by the fact that the receiving countries have other rules governing the entry. So let's have a quick, sorry about this. This is an old thing that let me just get it. Let's have a quick overview of what migration looks like. So worldwide, we have about 1 billion people out of the 7 billion population that we have. Out of these, we have 558 million international migrants. So those who are not residents of the country of origin, but then they are residents of other countries. So we have about 258 international migrants. And then surprisingly, internal migration, the movement within the country, outnumber the numbers of people moving across international migration. But unfortunately, there's a whole noise about international migration because of the irregularity involved. So let's get this. People moving within their country, people moving within Africa, people moving within Nigeria, within Ghana, are far more than people moving across international borders. People moving across maybe to Europe, to South Africa, to South Asia, to any other, they are less than people moving within the country. But why is it that we have a lot of noise about this? Because it is known that, and then the funny thing is, Africans are not even part of the total migrants, the number of people, like in terms of continent, we don't have a lot of Africans moving, but because of the means that we use, that is why we always see in the newspapers, in the media, that there are a lot of irregular migration going on in Africa. This we are going to talk about. So why is it important to move? It is important to move that we have a lot of migration. We have a lot of benefits associated with migration. We have the financial remittances. That is why you can see a family. Sometimes it's like a household decision. A family will put together resources and send one person outside the country so that the person will also support their households. So it's like something like a livelihood strategy for some family members. We have the social remittances. We have the skills that people transfer. In Ghana here or in other parts of the world, we have trained engineers, people who were trained outside, and then they've come back to Ghana, to their country to support the development of the economy. It also brings about economic opportunities. For instance, if the skilled migrants, they come, they also open up economic opportunities within a country. The remittances that we send, through the remittances that we send and the taxes that are paid on it are also used for economic growth. And it's also for demographic stabilization, because some of the countries, they have aging population and they need the youth to also travel. And then it brings about innovation, it brings about cultural diversity. There are a lot of things that we've learned from immigrants staying with us, or there are a lot of things that migrants, like we always say that migrants, they have a luggage with them. You never know what is inside that luggage. They have a lot of ideas that they go into a community in a different country and they try to implement it in there. So these are some of the things that we know about migration and then the need. So what does safe and regular migration look like? Now you want to migrate, you want to travel, you want to go as a student. This is very good for you. Usually I always use myself as a case study because I actually studied outside the country. And then when I was going, I remember when I was at the university here in Ghana, I had opportunity to travel to Germany. My uncle brought all the documents, but I was refused. This is my testimony. Then I told myself, hey, I have to study hard and then make it. I know people can get outside. You can travel to any country that you want if it's for educational purpose. So I have to travel, I have to study hard. I made the effort and I was able to get scholarship in Germany and in South Africa. So I was doing two at the same time. And then the funny thing is, when I was in South Africa, I had opportunity to go to Germany. And lo and behold, I didn't even go to their embassy. They came for our passports. So this is an opportunity. Studying hard is an opportunity to get to anywhere you want to get to in this world. But you have to be careful because there are a lot of unscrupulous migrant smugglers. There are a lot of migration industries within the country or anywhere in the world that will try to persuade you that they can facilitate your travel. So be careful. When you're traveling, make sure that you have a visa, the right one depending on the circumstances. If you're going to study, you should make sure that you have all the certificate, admission letter from the school that you're going to study. You have to make sure that if you need to pay anything, but usually it's scholarship, you have to make sure that you have all the required documents before you travel. If it's for medical, make sure you have all the supporting documents for you to travel. So usually we tell you that if you want to travel safe, you can go to any of the states that you want to travel to. You can go to their website. If you want to travel to Germany, you go to German embassy website. They have all the documents there that you can get. And fortunately for us, we can read, we can do anything. Those of us here, we can read and do anything. So please make sure that you read. It is safe and easier to get scholarship outside than to rely on a third party. If you're going to migrate for work, you should be in a possession of a contract or completion of formalities and training. And then if migrating to study, just as I said, make sure the school is legitimate and you have acceptance letter and everything. But some people still migrate irregularly. Now let's see what an irregular migration means, so that we will also be familiar with certain things. Irregular migration is a movement that takes place outside the regulatory norms of the source, transit, and destination countries. So from the perspective, if you enter a country, stay or work in a country without the necessary authorization or documents required under immigration regulations, then obviously you are there as an irregular migrant. People may assume that once we use irregular routes to get to any of our destinations, then that is irregular migration. No, that is not irregular migration. Assuming you are given 6 months stay in someone's country and you overstay the 6 months, you are there as an irregular migrant. It's interesting. Those who enter without proper documentation or a visa, those who overstay the permitted length of stay or time stipulated on their visa, those who work without work permit or a visa, those who violate any conditions of their stay, then you are in that country as an irregular migrant. We should have this. Now, when we come to Africa, we have a lot of people using dubious means to travel. Let me concentrate on Africa for the time being. And let me share this with you. Look at the routes that people use. Those from Somalia, they will use through Khartoum, they go through Khartoum, Sudan to Libya. And then, but what I forgot to stress on the fact that a lot of the irregular migration occurs in the, they use the Mediterranean. And then usually the Mediterranean is to go through Libya. So we have a lot of people coming from Nigeria, coming from Ghana, Mali, and Chad. They all come together in a small town called Agadez in Niger. That is where they start. So in Agadez, you have people like this, stranded migrants in Agadez, looking for what they term as a pusher or a connection man. That's a smuggler. So the smuggler will lead them. And funny enough, the smuggler will tell them a lot of things that they are not even aware of. And these smugglers, usually you have people like this. Unfortunately, they cover their face and then they are able to persuade the potential migrants about the possibility of getting to Libya. And then when you get to Libya, you cross the Mediterranean. They make it look so safe and easy, but that is not the case. If you want to use these means, make sure you're going to use 2 different cars. And one of the cars that they use is like a Toyota Hilux. It's a Toyota Hilux. So this is how it looks like. So the Toyota Hilux that you see at the bucket, you have about 32 to 40 people in the bucket. And those are the edges, at the edges of the bucket, they have these sticks that they use to support themselves. So this is the reality on the desert. So it can take them about from 7 days to about 2 weeks before they get to Libya. And on this desert, you're going to meet a lot of bandits. You're going to meet a lot of smugglers. You're going to meet a lot of armed robbers on the desert. So they take them, sometimes they kill a lot of people there. I'll go into that. But look, They have another car. They call this combine. This is so funny. This is like, if you don't have enough money to use the Toyota Hilux, this is what you're going to use. This is what you're going to pay for. And because of the pressure that they put on, they usually have a lot of these cars breaking down on the desert. And then when it breaks down, people are stranded. You have people like these who are stranded in the desert waiting for support. So IOM is always on it. And unfortunately, when they get to Libya too, they try to cross the Mediterranean. And this is the situation. They use what is known as rubber dinghy. And then this rubber dinghy, it is supposed to take about 70, 80 people. But because the smuggler is interested in getting money, the smuggler will put you on this small rubber dinghy. Instead of about 80 people, sometimes it's about 142 people. We have some stories here in Ghana. Somebody who was together with others, they were about 142. And then this, because it's a rubber, it's plastic, when it gets in contact with the sea water, it starts deflating because it cannot stay on the water for some time. It starts deflating. And then after some time, it just bursts. And then you hear about people drowning in the Mediterranean Sea. So these guys said there were 142 on it. And then after some time, it started deflating and only 2 of them survived. Only 2 of them. So we have a lot of Africans dying on the Mediterranean. So we are fortunate as youth, you know, the youth, we are the future of the continent of Africa. Yesterday, I was reading something about the fact that the COVID is not, the COVID impact, the number of deaths are not really high in Africa. And somebody was suggesting that maybe it's because of the youthfulness of the country. I said, yes, maybe because of the youthfulness, we are being spared of COVID, but other people are also using dubious means, irregular means to travel, which is another thing that we need to talk about because a lot of people are dying. Let me give you these statistics. Very short one. In IOM, we call something missing migrant projects. You can check missing migrant projects. For the missing migrant projects, we start counting about in 2014, we started looking at statistics on people fatalities, number of people dying on the desert, in the Mediterranean Sea, and the likes. So in 2014, in total worldwide, people who use irregular means to travel, we had about 5,284 people dying as a result of irregular migration. And out of this, 623 people died in Africa. But Africans were also part of those who died in the Mediterranean. So look at this. The Mediterranean Sea, we had 3,283 people dying in the Mediterranean Sea. And on the African soil, people trying to get to Libya, trying to cross the Mediterranean, using all other means to get to Libya. And then other parts of the African continent. We had about 623 of them dying. In 2015, about 6,000 people died worldwide. And out of this, we have 3,783 people dying in the Mediterranean Sea. In 2016, if you look at it, this was the deadliest year in all the awareness reasons that we are doing, because about 8,069 people died worldwide. And out of this, 5,443 people, 143 people died in the Mediterranean Sea. And even on the African continent, we had about 1,832 people dying. So what do we do about this? This is really, really, really dangerous, that we have to be very careful and to take this forward. As we speak, in 2020, we thought that COVID-19 is going to reduce a lot of things. But as we speak now, we have about 1,860 people, 61 people perishing. And out of these, 621 have died in the Mediterranean Sea. And we have about 491 also dying on the African soil. So where are they? Because the statistics that we have, a lot of people that we are receiving worldwide or on the African continent, majority of those who voluntarily come back to their countries of origin, majority of them are the youth. They constitute about 70 to 80% of the returns that we receive. So it is not only in Ghana, in Nigeria, we receive that all over. You could see that the youth are the people who are really engaged in irregular migration. And this is why we have to work really hard to stop this. So what should we do? We have to be very careful, very, very, very careful. You should not hurry into making a final decision about your departure or journey. You should be very careful when people tell you that, you should be very careful when people tell you that I have all these, sign these documents and get this. Once you get there, we'll provide work for you, A, B, C, D, no. So when you are offered an entrance into a foreign country on a tourist or visa, when you are actually going to work, be very, very careful with that. Sometimes this, we are not doing it on, we are not just doing it alone. We are working with people, because once we try to re-strategize to get to our potential migrants, to get to people, to understand that it is dangerous not to use irregular means, other people who are also the smugglers, they are also devising strategy to counter this. So be careful when someone tells you that you are going to work. Meanwhile, the sort of visa that you have is not for work, but rather as a tourist or a visa, as a tourist visa. Be very careful. When you are told that all the necessary, it is not necessary to know the language, especially the young ladies who are usually lured into this domestic work in Kuwait and other Gulf states. You have to be very careful, because once you get there, they are going to take your passport and everything away from you. So this is what you have to be very careful. You are advised to use counterfeit documents. When you are advised to use counterfeit documents, to please be mindful, because it is also dangerous. Once you get there, they are going to harass you. So let us get this. Usually the smuggler, they try to tell you sweet things, and then when you get there, they traffic you. So smuggling starts nicely, or pay this amount, I'm going to get you there. But once you get there, they will take everything away from you, and they will be demanding that your parents down here or whoever supported your travel should pay for your release. This is what is happening. So please, as a youth, the best way to do is to look for opportunities within the country first. Try as much as possible to look within before you make decision about traveling outside. It is really important that you travel outside, but please, let's do it in safe and humane, so that we will not struggle when we get to the country. So why should you migrate safe? When you migrate safe, your rights will be respected, you will have access to basic benefits, and you'll be safer because you are protected. So we usually say that given all the challenges, risk, perception, deception, it is cheap to use regular means to travel in the long run, to protect yourself and be safe. So thank you very much. I think I tried to conclude around 4 p.m., but it's 3 minutes past 4. So Tom, thank you very much. And that is the end of the presentation.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you too.
Thank you so much, Collins. We really appreciate your presentation and your time as well.
You too.
I wanted to find out if anybody has a question or comment or something to say, because this will be rounding up our session for today, and actually the conclusion of day 1 of Student Entrepreneurship Week Global. So tomorrow we'll be coming back for day 2. But before then, I wanted to find out if anybody, Mohammed, you are in India. I'm guessing that you have thoughts that you would like to share. I saw your message earlier. Would you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Tom. Let's talk a little bit about the last topic of the day, that is the migration. What I think is we have to really focus on drawing the opportunities that these young guys or the youth are going out there to go look for outside. We have to really, try to draw these opportunities closer to them, because if we are saying that they have to look first into the country or look into the closest environment to find out those opportunities, let's ask ourselves, are those opportunities really available? How readily available are they? How do the youth find it? What are the channels that are available to them to find it from? Now, these are some of the things that we have to make available to them. Let's dig back to the high schools, the universities, and all. Why at all would I travel out of? Why did I travel out of Ghana to study outside? As a result of what? Lack of the resources that I needed. I want to be an innovator. I want to do things, but how much is it going to cost me to get the resources to bring about those innovations? If you compare the cost of importing something into Ghana, like this, talking about this IoT models and all, importing them into Ghana is going to cost you a lot. How readily available are they? You see, so we have to focus on making these things available to the youth, and then drawing attention of what they are going to seek for outside there back to the country. For example, we started a movement in India known as Block Youth Foundation. We were gearing and preparing the youth towards the fourth industrial revolution. We go institution to institution to teach them about the new emerging technologies, right? So when we came to Ghana, we started visiting a couple of institutions to replicate whatever model we were doing here in India, in Ghana. Now, this is a means of what? Establishing an opportunity pool for the youth. So we have to rather focus more on establishing this opportunity pool and making them like readily accessible to the youth. So I think that is my little contribution that I can say, that I can add up to what Mr. Collins said.
Yes,
absolutely. No,
yeah, sure.
Yeah, nobody leaves his own country except in search of greener pastures, and I really agree with you. As you know, I'm Nigerian, but I'm living in Ghana. Of course, I came for education, eventually settled in. But I wanted to also find out, Esther, you are on the call and you are in another African country. What do you have to say?
Mm-hmm.
Esther, can you hear me? Okay, maybe Collins, you might want to.
Oh, no. This is not to respond to him, but then to also say that it's really important, because I even said I had to travel outside the country to do my master's and other things too. So yes, Mohammed, you are right. You see, the issue is that we are not against migration. Migration, just as I said, is really important. But then we are more aware of the fact that people are not using the regular means to travel. For instance, you use the right means to travel. That's really important. And then the knowledge and everything that you bring will be so important to the development of the country. So it's really important. You know, Tom Cruise Tom will go back to Nigeria. Or no, we don't even need him to go back to Nigeria, because he's also supporting the development of the country.
Of course,
yeah.
Of course.
But yes, but then it's interesting to find out from potential migrants, those people have money. I'm from the Brong-Ahafo region in Ghana here, and you know we are noted for this. People have money. You go and find out the young people working. They have their poultry farms and everything, but they still want to travel. They don't have the documents, so they want to use irregular means to travel. That is the problem that we have. This is why we have to, because they are the future. We are the future. Okay, me, I'm over 35 years, so I'm no more a part of the youth. Yeah, but yeah. So, but the thing is, these people, sometimes you talk to them and they'll be like, yeah, you know, Ghana is not good. But mind you, you go to other European countries and you feel that it is even better when you don't have documents staying in there. I remember sometimes we are in Germany or in Italy, and some Ghanaians will come to you and they're asking, oh, Charlie, can you give us maybe somebody will ask for 50 euro or 5 euro. You see? And then someone will tell Charlie, we are trapped. We can't go back because we don't know what to tell family members. And someone will tell you, please try to tell them that it is better to work in Ghana. If you don't have documents, don't come here. So this is what we want to stop. But you are very good. You are the role model now. So try, you obviously, maybe you use either scholarship or you have support somewhere. So please use your medium to also advise people that it is possible to go outside the country when they use the regular means. It is possible that when you get scholarship, when you study hard, you can get scholarship and go. If you work here, if you don't have money to travel, try as much as possible to invest the little that you have in the country than to pay to a smuggler to take you, where at the end of the day, you come back and be looking for who the smuggler is. So that is the situation that we have. So yes, it's funny. We have to create enabling environment for the youth. That is something that we need to also focus on and try as much as possible. With you, I know at least you should be able to, or you're already doing it. You are impacting lives. So please keep doing that, and God bless you for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Collins.
Thank you very much. At this point, we would have to close the meeting. This brings us to an exciting end of today's conversation. It's been a learning moment for us. It's been an exciting journey, despite the brief interruptions we had in the morning due to the internet connectivity issues. But we ended on a very high note, which I'm excited about. And I'm thankful to all of you that joined us for this exciting Student Entrepreneurship Week Global. Tomorrow will be another high point. Tomorrow we'll be starting on time and ending on time as well. But as you know, tomorrow we'll be awarding the Student Entrepreneurs of the Year, 3 people who will be winning the awards. And I want you to tell your friends about this session, tell your friends what you learned, and as well as share the information on your social media handles and all that. So let us know. Okay. Let us know how we can support you as well. If you have challenges that we can support you in, we have huge contacts of people who will be willing to participate in helping you navigate your career journey. But you've been part of history. You've been part of something really unique. As you know, this is the first ever Student Entrepreneurship Week on a global stage. And the journey of entrepreneurship is as anybody will tell you, is exciting because challenges present the opportunity for you to do stuff. Challenges present the opportunity for you to get involved in providing solutions. And as you saw today, the challenge of the internet connectivity, maybe somebody here will pick it up and solve it and make it easy for us to have seamless connectivity in subsequent meetings, which I'm excited about because I'm excited about challenges. Challenges is the reason why I'm doing this. Me and my colleague, we have seen the problem of unemployment among young people, and we want to solve it. We want to solve it and provide jobs for people, and not just is that for us? So not just jobs, but be able to help people make their lives a business, right? Because today entrepreneurship is no longer about setting up a business. It's about you making your life a business. And that's our motive, that's our mission. As you know, the numbers are all over the place, but so are the solutions, right? You and I, we are the solutions that we're looking for. We are the solutions that we're waiting for. We are the solutions that we are crying for. And this is our time. This is our time to get involved on the global stage, right? Get involved in providing solutions to those problems that we are complaining about. So I really want to motivate you. I really want to motivate you to take the memory of what you've heard today and take the experiences you've had and go back and make your life a success story, because it's possible. It's possible for you to create your dream company. It's possible for you to create your dream lifestyle. It's possible for you to live on your terms, right? It's very, very possible. So that's what we are doing. to inspire you, to encourage you, to provide you resources and tools that can help you to go back and turn your life around. Look, we might not have 100,000 people who are connected to this, but the fact that you are connected means that it's valuable to someone, and that someone is you. The only difference will be, what are you going to do with what you heard today? What are you going to do with the memories that have been communicated to you, that have been impacted to you, the people that you saw? These are not people that you meet every day. These are not people you meet on the streets. To get them is quite a process, but they are here. They came through to this meeting. All our speakers that we advertised, you saw them, right? They've shared their learning curves with you. They've shared their best practices with you. The question is, what are you going to do with those things that you've heard? Are you going to tomorrow look for help? Are you going to become the help, right? Transforming lives. We are talking about the population of Africa. It's on the news, it's on the internet, it's on many press releases. The question is, are you going to be a liability, as they say, as some people say, or are you going to be an asset? If I can get to where I am today, it means that anybody else can. The question is, are you part of those that will join the masses of people begging for help, or are you going to be a solution? And really, it becomes of you to say to yourself, I'm going to distinguish myself. I'm going to separate myself from the beggars and the needies and the help me's, and I'm going to be the one helping other people. That is my motivation, and that's why I'm here. That's why we're doing this. That's the reason for the company. We created this organization to inspire you, to motivate you, to equip you, and put you on the stage of solving problems around the world. It doesn't matter if you're starting from your bedroom. It doesn't matter wherever you're starting from, but start. And today is the day. Whatever you have in your mind, act on it. You never know how good it is. You never know how good you are. You never know how much you can do until you get started. But if you don't start, the answer is always no. If you don't make a move, the answer is always no. If you don't make a step, the answer is always no. Try and try and try and keep trying, but don't try blindly. You've heard what works for other people, so improve on what works for them and create your own formula. It's not about monkey see, monkey do. That's what we see around in many places today. Everybody wants to do one of the same. No, use your mind, create your own process. And then you can see how you can quickly bypass all the processes of what people are doing. When you think, when you make up your mind to think, you will come up with your original solutions, right? You will come up with your own unique formula. There are many innovations yet to be made. There are many solutions yet to be found. There are many unique formulas yet to be created. Why are we all doing the same thing? Why can't we sit down and charge our minds to create our own unique formulas? It's possible, it's necessary, it's essential, and this is the time. This is 2020. From now to the next 10 years, a lot of all those people that we saw today, the older ones, many of them will be retiring, meaning that it's our time to get to this stage. I leave you with 3 things for today. Number 1, think of your own platform. Your platform might be your job. Your platform might be the business where you work. Your platform might be yourself. Develop yourself to become a global player, right? Think globally. Think of improving your own value, your own equity. It might be creating a business. It might be supporting an already existing business. It might be you really taking your job as if it's your own company, right? Because today you are the CEO of you. The business might fail tomorrow. The job might be taken away, but nobody can take you away. Nobody can take what you have in your head. That's your best and number 1 asset. You are your number 1 asset. That's my number 2, which, as you heard from Gina, from Babs, from the rest of the other presenters, it's all about you. It starts with you and it ends with you. Now, I talked about platform before I talk about you, because of course, you are the center of it all, right? But number 3 is purpose. Now, think about what you are going to do with your life. Think about what you are going to become, and think about where you're going. Direction is important. If you don't have direction, you can be doing the same thing over and over again without making traction. I hope you would think about those things. I hope you would think about making your life a platform. I hope you would think about making your life a business. I hope you think about making yourself more disciplined to create a purpose for your life. And I hope you would think about living a successful life. It begins with a decision. If you decide, no one, no force, nothing can make that decision negative. If you decide that you're going to be successful, nothing can change it. And you saw that happen today. Regardless of the challenges we went through at the early stages with the internet, we ended up having a successful meeting. On the first time this event has ever happened, Student Entrepreneurship Week Global. A lot of people told me it's impossible. In the weather we are living in now, you should be saving your money instead of spending your money. But we said we can, and we did it. So take this as an inspiration and go back and do the same. I thank you all. Thank you for your time. Pipi is here. She's hiding. She doesn't want to. You come say hi.
So, thank you so much, Chris. And then before I leave, okay, let me hear from Pipi. Let me extend my thanks to the whole team, because I know it's been a lot of struggle.
Hello. So this is all the designs you saw. She's our brand. She's the brain at the background. I just fly all over the place knowing that she got my back. So
great work, man. As I always say, doing an exceptional work. I don't know. I don't have any amount of words that will, qualify or that will appreciate what you are doing. But yes, this is what is needed for the hour, and this is definitely what is needed to get us wherever we are going. Thank you for the opportunity. And then there's one thing that I learned from last year, that I am a gladiator and I apply it in all my aspects. And then today also in this section, I'm going to go saying yes to all my opportunities and everything that comes my way.
Okay, so let's close with that. Yes. Everybody put on your camera, please. Put on your camera. Are you ready? Do you want to sit or stand?
I think we should stand.
Put on your microphone.
Let's stand.
Okay, let's stand. Put on your microphone, your camera. Let's see your face. Let's hear your voice. Okay, so we're going with, on the count of 3, we say yes. Okay, so I'm gonna demonstrate for you so you see how we do it. 1, 2, 3, yes! 1, 2, 3, yes! Okay, now it's our turn. Yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Ishmael, put on your microphone. Yeah. You're ready. Esther is ready. Okay. At the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes! 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 Great. We're going to do it 2 more times. Ishmael, put on your microphone. I need to hear your voice. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yes! 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 Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
See you tomorrow. Thank you. All the best.
Definitely.